Good morning, everybody. As y'all coming in, put your locations in the comments. We will get started in a moment. We are reloading over here on Facebook. Facebook, give me an issue. Let's get Facebook restarted. Put your locations in the comments as y'all are coming in. We're trying to get on Facebook. Let's see if this gets going. And put your locations in the comments, everybody. We will get started in a moment. Good there. All right, now Facebook is acting right now. All right, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. So y'all coming in, give me your locations in the comments. Tell me where y'all checking in from in the comments, locations in the comments. And let's get to it. We are live on Rumble. Good morning, Rumble. We are live on YouTube. Good morning, YouTube. We are live on YouTube. Let me check and see if we are active on X, as it tells me that we are. Yes, we are live on X. Good morning, X. We are live on LinkedIn. Good morning, LinkedIn. My name on LinkedIn and X and Rumble and YouTube is all the same. It is at Dre All Day. My name on LinkedIn, Rumble, YouTube, and X is at Dre All Day. We are live finally on Facebook. Facebook/Work on Your Game University. If you're a Facebook user, it's Facebook/Work on Your Game University. Good morning over there on Facebook. We are live on Instagram. Instagram at Dre Baldwin. Good morning, Instagram. Is my mic on? Yeah, mic's on Instagram. And we are live on TikTok. TikTok/Work on Your Game. Good morning, those of you checking in on TikTok. Let me shout a few people out. Give me your locations. Give me your locations in the comments. Locations in the comments, folks. And I will shout a few people out. Topic here today, we're going to talk about these phantom illegal orders that some people in the Democratic Party came out and started preaching against. They're preaching against something that didn't even happen. So this is basically, they created a straw man for themselves to attack. So let's just start off the day by giving them a slice of strawberry cheesecake. For the Democrats, just coming out of nowhere, just saying refuse any illegal orders when no orders have been given, period, let alone an illegal order. But anyway, we're going to talk about that. Shout yourselves out. Give me your locations in the comments as y'all are coming in. Tell me your locations in the comments. Nikki, good morning. Congrats on the first comment from Connecticut. Tina from the 757 VA. Shout out to Virginia. Thank you for the repost. Murphy the Mutt from Bristol, Tennessee. 140.6 Walnut Creek, California. Tina, thank you for the heart. Leah, good morning. Thank you for the heart. Tina, thanks for the rose. Katie, good morning. Love and hugs all around Florida Turnpike area. Katie, doesn't the Turnpike run through the entire state of Florida? How are you in the Turnpike area? That's an interesting location that you sent there. Leah, thank you for the Go Popular. Tina, thank you for the High Bear. Annie Omer Pasos. I know I messed up your name, but Annie, good morning from Tucson, Arizona. Shout out to Tucson. Scott Young, good morning. User 982, thank you for the share. Murphy the Mutt, thanks for the share. Leah, thank you for the 200 lightning bolt. Scott Young, 758, Cherry Grove, South Carolina. Leah checking in from Tifton, Georgia. Katie said, I'm glad the weekend is over with and I can get back to coffee with my regular people. Me too. I'm glad we are all here. Jose de Colombia said, hey, brother, good morning. CJ Gator, good morning from a cold AF morning in Detroit. I know it is cold up there. Shout out to everybody in cold places. Shelby, good morning. It's 70 degrees in South Florida right now. But shout out to y'all in the cold. Nathan Don, good morning. Where was I? Shelby said, good morning. Nathan said, let's do it. Are we going to do it? Lacey River, good morning from Vancouver, Washington. Shout out to Vancouver. Shout out to the rainy areas. Jay Rocker said, good morning from Delaware, back safe from Tennessee. Glad you made it. Tucker 23 Mill, Wichita, Kansas, metropolitan area. Shout out to Kansas. I have been there. It's cold there too. Nathan Don, thanks for the lightning bolt. Ron Johnson, Lima, Ohio. Kim, good morning from Ohio as well. Laughing Puppy 60 from Seattle. Happiness Now, ATL. Katie said, started in Miami, heading home to Iowa. Are you driving? That's a long drive. Shout out to road trippers. Shout out to the road trippers driving in between states. 740 Ohio, Connie Voyers. Shout out to Ohio. Heavy in here today. Night Owl from Florida. Good morning. Happiness Now says 37 degrees in Atlanta. See, I thought Atlanta was supposed to be hot. I thought it was supposed to be hot in Atlanta. There's 37 degrees. That's crazy. Let me tell you what the temperature is right now in South Florida. It is 73 degrees with a high today of 83. Tomorrow, 81, 81, 81, 83. So those of you who like cold weather, more power to you. But I will be down here. So what we're going to talk about here today. Now, the topic here today is this illegal orders thing that came out last week. Some of you probably heard of it. It probably happened about a week ago. We didn't get a chance to get to it last week. It was last week, Thanksgiving. We were off on Thanksgiving. I was here Friday. Some of you were here. Some of you were not. But we're back on a normal schedule now, unless otherwise noted, up until Christmas. We might take off Christmas Day. And maybe the day after Christmas, we'll see. We'll get to that when we get to it. We got, 3 weeks away? So the controversy of this whole illegal orders thing came out after 6 Democratic lawmakers. When you heard the term lawmakers, folks, that is translated to they're in Congress. A lawmaker is a person in Congress. And everybody in Congress was elected to Congress. So anytime y'all have a problem with the laws that have been initiated or the lawmakers and what they're doing, look in the mirror and be mad at yourself because you and we elected these people, even if you did not actually vote for them, even if you voted against them, even if you didn't vote at all. By being a citizen with a right to vote, the lawmakers we had were chosen by the citizens. Okay, so anytime you have a problem with the lawmakers, be mad at yourself because we chose these people. So 6 Democratic lawmakers who have military and intelligence backgrounds, they put a video out, a viral video, telling U.S. service members they have a duty to refuse illegal orders. Maybe I should take a risk and see if I can play this video on here. TikTok might get mad at me if I was to play this and it'll give me a warning, but let me see. Let me see if I can find this illegal order PSA. Let me see how long it is to see. So I see the video here. I'm just seeing how long this video is. It's about a minute and a half. Let me see.
Congressman Jason Crow was a captain in the United States Navy. Former CIA officer. Former and Senator
Listen
Senator Mark Kelly. Representative Chris Deluzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander. Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. That was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy. Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer. Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day to keep Americans safe.
We know we are under enormous stress and pressure right now. Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk. This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens. Like us. You all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
Okay, so we just pause right there. So they spent the first half of this video. I'm about halfway through the video, what you all just heard, 39 seconds into it. First of all, these people, they framed this video by saying that they used to work in intelligence. They used to work in the military, et cetera, et cetera. They use that as the frame. Easy with the door, okay? They use that as the frame as to why whatever they're about to say is credible. All right, this is a false frame.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
You want to sit up here with me?
No, I just want my shoes to come.
You want what?
I want my glasses to come.
Your glasses?
Yeah,
No, you got to ask Mommy. She ordered them, right?
yeah,
Yeah, you got to ask her. She'll tell you when they're coming. She can give you an exact date.
okay.
Okay. Be easy with the door. Okay. So they're creating this false frame that whatever they're about to say is credible simply because they have background working in the military or working in intelligence. That has absolutely nothing to do with the point that they're trying to make. So this is already some nonsense that they're saying. Then they're saying, they just go into arguing against something that never even happened. They're saying that you have a right to refuse an illegal order. You must refuse illegal order. No one has to carry.
We know this is hard, and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
This is nonsense. This is complete nonsense. That you have to refuse every illegal order.
Strawberry cheese.
So they get another slice of strawberry cheesecake, Thanksgiving leftover strawberry cheesecake for even saying this.
Whether you're serving in the CIA,
The Army or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
know that we have your back.
Because
We
now,
have your
more
back.
than ever,
And more than ever, American people
We
need
need to
you.
stand up for our laws.
our Constitution and who we are as Americans. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
the ship.
What are they giving up? Don't give up the ship is what these people are saying. So this is the video that came out, and this went viral. I don't know why it went viral, because maybe it went viral for its idiocy, but I don't know otherwise why this would go viral, because there are a bunch of people who supported this concept who helped this video go viral. I don't understand. So they posted this video saying they have a duty to refuse quote unquote illegal orders. Now they framed this as a constitutional reminder, and it became a confrontation because Donald Trump, he threw out the idea, you know how Donald Trump talks, the idea of the death penalty for quote unquote sedition. And the Pentagon launched a UCMJ investigation into Senator Mark Kelly. He was one of the voices that you heard on the video. And the FBI opened interviews with all six. So the FBI started interviewing these folks. They got the attention of the Federal Bureau for this video that they put out. And these are lawmakers. These are people in Congress, folks. In other words, we voted for these people. We put these people in office, and this is what they decided to do with their time. Now, Senator Mark Kelly, I actually already mentioned that. So the class now raises questions about military obedience. So they started a conversation here. They did successfully start this conversation about military obedience, also about congressional free speech, because now everybody's talking about why did these idiots just say this? That doesn't make any sense. And the political weaponization of the term sedition by Donald Trump. They turned it on Donald Trump. So they said something that made no sense. They created a straw man to attack. Donald Trump responds to it, and now they want to make an issue out of what Donald Trump said, when the only reason Donald Trump said it is because they just created this argument out of nowhere. And this is what the Democrats have been doing for the last 10 years. Even when Biden was in office, this is what the Democrats have been doing. So now we got to talk about it because they went and made a story out of this. So I appreciate these 6 lawmakers for coming up with this nonsense, because they got some people excited about this. And because some people got excited about this and talking about it, and excitement can be positive or negative, everybody. Now we're going to talk about it. So let me introduce myself. For those who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year pro athlete, author of a few books, done a few TED Talks. I run this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. Our job here is really to help you master communication, amongst all other things. So you're trying to sell more stuff, you got to communicate. You want to have better relationships, you must communicate. You want to be more of a leader, you have to communicate. You want to have a stronger presence, you want to leave a stronger imprint, you have to be a better communicator. Our program is called The Power of Presence. It is a mastermind where you get coached directly by me, all on mastering your communication. Specifically, we focus on the nonverbal elements of communication that make the verbal elements land. So any of you who's pretty good at speaking, but you feel like people aren't really hearing you, they're not really listening, they're not really appreciating what you're bringing to the table, despite the fact that you're really good. The reason is because your verbal communication is only 15% of what you're communicating. The other 85% is nonverbal. And until you understand it, become aware of it, and master it, your words will continue to fall on deaf ears. So any of you who wants to master your communication, your presence, your aura, and your imprint, you want to step up your leadership and the results that come from it, go to the link in my profile. You get to work with me directly. And our program, again, is called the Power Presence Protocol. Now, getting into the topic here today. We know what the topic is. These alleged illegal orders that the Democrats just started fighting against, again, that don't even exist. They're basically fighting against I don't know what they're fighting against. It's like Don Quixote fighting against the windmill. Anyway, the lawmakers told troops in the video, they weren't talking directly to troops, but this viral video, they must refuse illegal orders. Again, what the hell does that even mean? They cited existing UCMJ rule that service members are obligated to disobey clearly unlawful commands, and they are not inventing a new doctrine, which is exactly the point. If they're talking about something that already exists as the rule, and these people are already troops, don't they already know the rules? Don't these people already know the rules? They know the rules that they're not supposed to obey an illegal order. So these people coming out and saying obey an illegal order, what it sounds like is similar to what Trump intimated. I don't know if I'll go as far as sedition, but what Trump is intimating is that you Democratic lawmakers, are just throwing something into the mix here for no reason whatsoever to make it seem as if you're intimating that something that we're having them do, the troops that is, something that we're having them do is wrong or against the law. And now you have them thinking about it, or at least you're trying to plant the seed in their mind that, hey, maybe you should think about this. You should consider, hey, what orders are you following that might be illegal? Maybe you don't need to listen to what the president is saying, who is literally the commander in chief. Maybe you don't need to listen to what the president is saying. And what this is doing is possibly, if these troops were to listen to this and heed the message, all it's doing is throwing a wrench into the operations of the military, at which point Donald Trump actually has a point. And again, I don't know if I would go as far as to call it sedition, but let's get a definition of the word sedition so we're all on the same page. And we'll go to Merriam-Webster here. I like to use them as a definition. They say sedition is incitement of resistance to or insurrection against lawful authority. I think that's exactly what this is. Any of you thought 9/11 was an insurrection? What is this? And please like the live, folks. We're at 9,000 likes. We do 100,000 likes every single time we go live here on TikTok. We do 100,000 likes every day. Like the live, folks. Please tap the screen and like the live. We need to get to 100,000 likes every day when we go live here.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Tap the screen, everybody. Just tap the screen. That's how you make the lights come up. If you tap the screen, the lights go up. And up there in the top corner, I see 10.5K. We want that to be 100K by the time I'm done here today. So the definition of sedition, again, let me read that definition again. Incitement of resistance to or insurrection against lawful authority. Does anyone want to challenge that actually what Donald Trump said is correct? I said I wouldn't go that far, but now that I'm reading the definition, I would go that far. Donald Trump is absolutely 100% correct here by calling this sedition. That's what this is. Yeah, I meant J6. Did I say 9/11? I meant to say J6. Yes. I meant to say J6. January 6, 2021, not 9/11. They are inciting resistance. They are trying to tell the military, resist listening to the president by insinuating that whatever the president or whoever's in charge, Pete Hegseth, whoever, whatever they're telling you to do may be illegal. They're just throwing this out there. And where I come from, we call it throwing salt in the game. They're throwing salt in the game for no reason, just to incite possible resistance against the lawful authority of the Secretary of Defense or the Commander-in-Chief, who is the President of the United States of America. This is sedition. And this is the reason why the FBI had a conversation with them. Now, if this goes anywhere, it's a different story. But this is completely ridiculous for them to throw that out there. And it just shows the ridiculousness of the political left when it comes to Donald Trump. This is more ridiculousness by them, more Trump derangement syndrome. Why is this? Because, again, Donald Trump hasn't given any orders. I don't know what they're talking about. They just said, let's just come out with this as a way of throwing a wrench in the game because we don't have anything else to do. We got to create some new thing because there wasn't a thing before. So let's just go create some new thing. And now everybody's talking about this because they don't mind throwing anything out there, even if it makes no sense whatsoever, as long as it shows that they are going against the frame of Donald Trump. As long as they're going against the frame of Trump, then it's okay. So let's just say that maybe there's an illegal order. Let's insinuate there may be an illegal order. So disobeying clearly unlawful commands, again, is already the rules. Now, conservatives called this, people on the Trump side, they called this a call for mutiny. And influencers on the right wing, people on the podcasters, political commentators, they said this is a military coup attempt. I wouldn't go that far, but I get what they're saying. Directionally, this is exactly what they're doing. directionally they're right. And again, I wouldn't go as far as say it's a military coup. All they're doing is putting a video on the internet. But they frame this as encouraging defiance of Donald Trump specifically. That's what they're doing. They didn't say his name. They didn't say Donald Trump's name. But we know he's the commander in chief. We know that ultimately whatever call comes from the government, he can veto it, or he can say, hey, he can send it down the chain of command. So defiance of Donald Trump specifically by the Democratic Party, we know. They've been all on this resistance thing since 2016. Gentle with the door. Since the 2016. Okay, you closed it the second time. That was worse. Since the 2016 election, they've been on this defiance of Donald Trump. Let's just push back against this guy in all ways. What happened? Why are you crying?
I put rubber bands in the sink.
Why?
I didn't know.
You put your rubber bands in the sink?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do that?
Because I didn't know.
You didn't know? Let me look at your face.
Yeah.
Is mommy upset?
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't do that. You keep play with your toys where your toys go, right? Don't you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a good idea. And what else happened? You put your rubber bands in the sink. What happened?
Nothing.
Nothing happened?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like nothing. You want to talk about it? Okay, you don't
No.
have to. So the Democratic Party has been doing this for 10 years. Obviously, they haven't gotten it all out of their system. And this is another point to prove how wrong I was in January of 2025. This is what I said in January. I said it on one of these live streams. I said that I thought and I hoped and I predicted that now that Donald Trump is president for the second time, now that he's in his second term, he can only do 2 terms. Now that he can't run again, now that he has no re-election possibly coming up, and Donald Trump's not going to run for a 3rd term. So now that that's happening, maybe the Democratic Party will just do some logical and objective governance here. And if they push back on Trump, they'll push back on him on some logical things, on some objective things, on some things that actually make sense. And you're not just going to make shit up out of nowhere and just try to go against the guy just for the sake of going against him out of sheer perversity. I predicted that the Democratic Party would do that
Daddy,
during this
can I
term.
go to the park?
Later on today, yes, we'll go to the park.
Okay.
I thought they would do that, being that there's no need to try to make him look bad now that he can't run again. What do you get? Why don't we just figure out a way to make the country be better, even though the person who you wanted to win didn't win, because it wasn't the guy, it was Kamala Harris. That's a joke. But anyway, I was wrong. I was 100% wrong. I thought the Democrats would calm down and choose a different path here. They have not chosen a different path. And here we are. We're in December of 2025, almost a year into Donald Trump's second administration. Mind you, he has 3 more years left. Seems like it's been a long time. He has 3 more years left, and this is what the Democrats are doing. Again, they didn't have a story, so they had to make one up. They just made up a story out of nowhere. And well done by Democrats making up a story, hijacking the news cycle. But this is nonsense. How is this helping the everyday American? The answer is it's not. So all 6 lawmakers have national security credentials. That's the reason that they did it. I think all the lawmakers in Congress decided, all the Democratic lawmakers said, let's come up with something like this, but we got to give some credibility to the point. So let's pick people who have some background either in the military or national security credentials, so it gives some credence to the point that we're making. So it sounds like they're saying something that the average everyday person wouldn't understand because they don't have national security credentials. So that's why they chose. Kelly is a retired Navy captain. Slotkin was in the CIA. Cheryl was a Navy pilot. Gallagher was a Marine. Ryan was an Army Ranger, and Smith is an armed services expert. What the hell that means, I don't know. So this added legitimacy to the point. I say this is complete nonsense by the Democrats.
I scratched it again.
What is it?
I scratched it again.
Well, yeah, see, so be careful scratching it. You need to be gentle with it because you don't want your watch face to get messed up. So you can see it. So,
I can't.
so the Democrats just, again, find some people who have some credibility so we can add some credence to this point because nothing there. Because if there was any actual substance to this point, they could have sent anybody to say it. Any Democrat could have said it. They could have sent Cory Booker. You heard Cory Booker got married, by the way? We might talk about that later on this week. They could have sent Cory Booker to do it. They could have sent AOC to do it. They could have sent Crockett to do it. They could have sent, who else they got? Anybody over there they could have sent to send this message if the message was credible. Because if the message is credible, the message stands on its own. You don't have to go and borrow credibility from these people just because they have national security credentials in order to make the message allegedly more credible. This message is not credible. I don't care who it comes from, because what are you doing? What are you doing? Again, these people have backgrounds in these things. They're not in them anymore. They work in Congress. They're not doing it. You're not in the Navy. You're not in the CIA. You're not a pilot. You're not a Marine. You're not an Army Ranger. And again, armed services expert, whatever the hell that means. This means absolutely nothing. And this is just more foolishness.
I just want to go to the park.
We are going to go. We'll go later. There's more foolishness by the Democratic Party.
Late.
Okay, so Mr. Kelly, he was talking a lot in this video. If you see the video, you'll see him. I believe he's the bald-headed guy. Only he could be prosecuted under military law because retired officers remain under the UCMJ jurisdiction, allowing the Pentagon to target him alone. I don't think he's going to get targeted. I don't think he's going to get prosecuted. There's not enough here. Reasonable doubt. You can say they can put this message out. Free speech, they can put the message out. He's not getting prosecuted, so that is not going that far, even though Donald Trump did throw that out there. So, again, the way people just react to random things that politicians say is very interesting, but it's good for me because I get to use this stuff as content. He's not getting prosecuted. That is not happening. There will be no charges. Nothing's going to happen here. It's just going to be a story that's going to blow over it'll be over by the end of this week. Now, Democrats frame this messaging as defending the Constitution. We're defending the Constitution. That's bullshit. No, they're not. They argued that their oath binds them to prevent unlawful military actions regardless of who is present. Well, first of all, you're not preventing anything. You work in Congress. Now, technically, Congress can vote to go to war and do those things, but you making a video, posting it on the internet is not preventing anything. You're not stopping anything from happening. And yes, it is regardless of who is president, but we all know this is happening because of who is president. Let me ask you all a question. If Kamala Harris was president right now, would 6 Democratic lawmakers be coming out with this video? I don't even need to wait for you all to answer the question. Everybody knows the answer is hell no. They wouldn't even have thought of doing this if Kamala Harris was the president because it'll be undermining their team. And this is the issue that all of us should have, if you don't already have it when it comes to politics in the United States. This binary situation that we have, this two-party system, is that each party, their number one priority is let me make sure I keep my job. And number 2, let's try to make the other side look bad. And somewhere down the list, below number 2, is either number 3, number 4, number 8,000 is let's make sure that we're actually serving the people of America who voted us into office and who are depending on us to make the laws and make the decisions that determine the way that we live on a federal level. That is not one of their top 2 things. We can't even call it, technically there's no such thing as multiple priorities.
Now it says the 28.
Yeah, see. It's not one of their top priorities. Number 1 priority is keep my job because it's a full-time job and there's a lot of access and money you get when you have that position in Congress as a lawmaker. And number 2 is be gentle with that door, gentle with the door. Number 2 is let me make sure my team looks good and make the other team look bad by any means necessary. That's the way that these people operate. And again, we voted for these people. So we can't really be that mad. On the other hand, you can be mad because the system is designed no matter who you vote for, they're all going to do it. It's the reason why Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of the reasons why she's getting out of the game, because she realized, okay, these people here are not really trying to get anything done. Their job is, as I just told you, number 1, keep my job. Number 2, make the other side look bad by any means necessary, even if I got to make up a story that doesn't exist. You really want to get things done, and then you go into Congress hoping that you're going to get things done. You come in there with all these bright ideas. Then you get in there and you try to actually get things done. Then you find out why the swamp is a swamp. It's alligators don't let their swamp get drained. Not without a fight. And you fighting an alligator in water is a bad fight for you. All right. I don't know there's an animal that can beat an alligator in water. If there is one, name it. I don't think there is one. Now, you get an alligator on land, you got a chance. You get an alligator on water, it's over. They win. This is why Donald Trump couldn't drain the swamp. This is why Marjorie Taylor Greene is getting out the game. And this is why our political system is our political system. Now, the FBI's involvement has escalated this. You get a knock on the door from the FBI, even if you're a congressperson, I think that's going to get your attention. Now, Director Kash Patel ordered interviews of these 6 lawmakers under the sedition statute. So Donald Trump threw this out there, and they are really acting on this under the sedition statute, and it carries up to 20 years in prison, which sounds rough if you're one of the people who has the FBI knocking at your door. While at the same time, I already told you all, I don't think this is going anywhere. It sounds rough. It sounds tough. This is not going to go anywhere. All they did was post a video on social media. that is protected by free speech. Even if you think it is somewhat of an insinuation, it'd be very difficult to prove this in the court of law. That's not going to happen. In the court of law, they can't prove this. The Democrats can get lawyers. Any lawyer worth the price of their suit can knock down this if it was to go to trial. And the political right, Donald Trump's team, FBI, Kash Patel, they know they can't go anywhere with this. So what they can do is make some noise. They can try to scare these people, tell them don't do that shit again, but this is not going anywhere. Now, the video responded to a real Trump era controversy. So what people have been talking about are these maritime strikes. Have y'all seen these strikes that the current administration has been doing in the water? So they see these people riding on speedboats coming across international waters, and allegedly these people are looking to deal some street pharmaceuticals that they're not supposed to be dealing. So the Trump administration is preemptively striking down these boats and destroying what's on the boat, destroying the boat itself, and killing the people who are on the boat. They've done this a few times already, and some people have made some noise about this. It hasn't become super duper headline thing, but people are assuming that the reason why this video by the Democrats came out last week is in response to that, because that's the only thing the Trump administration has been doing that they could possibly say is an illegal order. What else is the Trump administration doing? And is not even an illegal order, because the order is actually, I don't know if you would even call it an illegal order. Maybe it's an order to do something illegal is the way they should say it, but that's too many words, so that's why they're calling it illegal order. I think it's more of an order to do something illegal rather than an illegal order. What makes an order illegal? And how would they know? But if you're telling me to do something and I think that's illegal, then I can start questioning it, saying, I don't know if me doing that is legal or not, even though you have the legal right to give me any order you want. Do I have to actually follow through? And it's a different story, but that's semantics. And I guess we're not going to make a big deal out of that. But the mass guard deployments to blue cities, maybe people are talking about that, but that's not an illegal order. Because Donald Trump has a legal right to send National Guard to anywhere in the country if they're there on the pretext of defending or doing something that has to do with federal jurisdiction. Therefore, for example, there's an ICE facility or any type of federal facility in the city of, let's say, Chicago, and the mayor of Chicago, who's a Democrat, and the governor of Chicago, who's also a Democrat, say, we don't want the National Guard here because they're saying it because Donald Trump's the president. If they both say that, but there is a federal building in Chicago that Donald Trump believes needs to be defended, Donald Trump can send troops to defend that specific building because that building is federally owned, because he has federal jurisdiction. Now, he can't send the National Guard to just walk around the streets of Chicago and round up people under anything that's under local jurisdiction if the mayor or the governor doesn't want him to do it. That was what the big battle was, let's say, in a city like Chicago and other cities. So it just depends on which jurisdiction, what details they're using when it comes to jurisdiction, who has the call, and who can make whatever call against whomever in these type of situations. But if it's a federal situation, then Donald Trump can send troops in. So that's not an illegal order for him to send troops into a town if it's under the premise of we're defending some type of federal building or a situation. Now, also the other thing is these unauthorized maritime strikes, or what people are saying are unauthorized. That they can't possibly be unauthorized because somebody authorized a strike. So it's not unauthorized. Unauthorized by who is the question. These maritime strikes have raised, some say, genuine concerns about legality. So what people have been saying about the strikes. Have y'all seen these where the strikes come through? People have said that these are war crimes, is what has been said. That's the term that I keep hearing, that this is a war crime, that Donald Trump is committing a war crime against whatever country or whatever people because he's doing the thing that he's doing. To that, I say, let's assume that you're right. Let's assume that this is a war crime, and you're right. Donald Trump has committed a war crime against Venezuela or whatever country by striking down these boats and killing the people on the boat that they say are bringing pharmaceuticals into our country. Who's going to take him to court? Let's say the United States of America commits a war crime. Because if the United States of America committing war crimes means somebody got to go to court, maybe even go to jail. If that's the case, then Donald Trump got to go to court. Joe Biden needs to go to court. Barack Obama needs to go to court. George W. Bush needs to go to court. Just in this century alone, all of them got to go to court. Every president we've had, they all got to go to court. If the United States of America doing something with, to, or for another country and it could be looked at as a war crime, then every president we've had so far this century all need to go to court and they all need to be charged. I got that right or wrong? Give me a yes or a no if you agree with that. George W. Bush, yeah, he got to go. Barack Obama, he got to go. Joe Biden, he got to go. He's the only one who only had 4 years. The other ones had 8, and Donald Trump's on his way to 8. They all got to go to court. So this whole concept, when people throw out there, oh, well, Donald Trump doing this and this and this is a war crime. Yeah, that sounds good because it's just more fodder that you can add to the argument that Donald Trump's a bad guy. But please, if we're playing the war crimes game, then I don't think Donald Trump is first in line, personally. If we're playing the war crimes game, I think the two presidents who are first in line to be prosecuted would be President W. Bush and President Obama. That's what I think. Y'all tell me. I think Donald Trump's third in line. Joe Biden would be last. He didn't have enough time, and who knows who was running things during his second half of his administration. But is number one, I say George W. Bush is number one in line to be prosecuted. Barack Obama is second to be prosecuted. Donald Trump would be third, and Joe Biden would be fourth if we're playing the wartime game. So I don't think people really want to play that game. We want to talk about war crimes against other countries based on what happened under each person's administration. George W. Bush is by far in first place. Barack Obama is a little bit distant second. Donald Trump's a far third, and then Biden is last in more ways than one. Now, Donald Trump labeled the group, these 6 people. He labeled these people traitors. And he intimated the death penalty for these people. Now, again, does Donald Trump really mean he wants to give these people the death penalty? No, because first of all, they had to do something really crazy to get the death penalty. Secondly, they had to be charged. Third, they had to be tried. Fourth, they had to be convicted. None of those things are going to happen. None of these is going to happen. Now, he posted that sedition is punishable by death, which technically is true. But again, are these people going to be charged? No, only one person can be charged, and that's Kelly, and he's not going to be charged. So this amplified the intensity around the investigation because Donald Trump did actually follow through, and there is an investigation happening. It's not going to go past the investigation. So any of you who's excited that something's going to happen to these people on a legal level, nothing's going to happen. Now, they may get a slap on the wrist from the FBI or from fellow Congress people or something like that. But are these people actually going to be charged, indicted, arraigned, charged? No, none of that's going to happen. Absolutely not. But they are going to have it on their resume, whether good or bad, that they did what they did. The same as, remember when Barack Obama was giving that speech? I don't know if it was the State of the Union, but y'all can remind me if it was. Remember he was giving that speech and the guy yelled out that he was a liar in the middle of his speech? It was very quiet and the guy just yelled out liar and everybody looked and the guy had to apologize and it'll be like that. These people will get, at worst, they'll get the same kind of response from the powers that be, the authorities that not Barack Obama, but whoever that guy was, that congressperson got when he yelled out Barack Obama was a liar in the middle of that speech. So it's not going any further than that. Now, many progressive veterans say that the probes suppress dissent. I say that's nonsense. They say that the FBI opening up an investigation under Kash Patel on these 6 people for what they said in that video, they say that doing that is suppressing dissent. I say nonsense. I say nice try, but no, nonsense. First of all, the reason that the probe is happening is because these people put out this video saying refuse an illegal order when there is no illegal order to refer to. They're not even referring to anything. They're just saying it as a general point. Why would you just generally throw that out there? You don't have to listen to what the president says. Why would you throw it out there? You are rabble rousing. And yes, you do get investigated for that, especially when you're a lawmaker. These are the people we vote on to choose the laws for our country, and they're throwing this out there as if they ain't got nothing better to do. Yes, you get investigated for doing this. This is not suppressing dissent because these people aren't offering any dissent. What are they dissenting against? What happened that they're dissenting against? You can't even name it. So how are we going to say that this is suppressing dissent? It is not. And secondly, if you exercise free speech in the United States of America, you have a right to say what you want to say, but you also, whoever you said something to or about, or whoever decides to get interested in what you said, they have a right to respond to what you did. So if you throw out something and say ABC and someone gets interested in you saying ABC, they can go and respond to what you said. So these people put out this video exercising their First Amendment right to say what they want to say. They put the video out and saying you must refuse an illegal order. You must refuse an illegal order. Don't give up the ship. The way they were talking, you want to talk about January 6, 2021 being incitement. This is incitement. Now, even though nothing has happened behind it, at least not yet, that's why this is not going to go anywhere. But if people want to say Donald Trump is inciting by giving that speech, what he said, we're going to march down to the Capitol peacefully and patriotically. People tend to leave those 3 words out of there. We're going to march down to the Capitol, and then the people went crazy. They couldn't get Donald Trump on that, but they tried to. These people are actually inciting. Don't give up the shit. You don't have to. You must refuse every illegal order. Again, they didn't even say what they were talking about, what order, when, where, who you talking about. They didn't say this is incitement. And because of that, the FBI got interested, and the FBI knocked on some doors. Hey, let me talk to you. You said something. We got some questions. And the FBI knows what they're doing. So you have a right to utilize your First Amendment right to say what you want to say. And also, the rest of the world has a right to respond to you saying what you want to say. That's the game. So anybody saying that this is suppressing dissent, it doesn't understand how the law works. They don't understand how human nature works. You can do what you want to do, and other people do what they want to do. So it's not I do what I want to do and say whatever I want to say, and you're not allowed to respond to it. That's not that's not in the Constitution. The Constitution doesn't say that you can do whatever you want and nobody else can do anything about it. The Constitution says you can do whatever you want. That applies to everybody. So if everybody's doing whatever they want, that means other people do what they want as a response to you doing what you wanted to do. And if you don't want anybody to do something to respond to what you did, then don't do anything. If you don't want response to what you said, don't say anything. But if you speak, people have a right to respond to it. That's the reason why I tell you all, the moderators who are in here right now, and the commentators who are in here, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, you have a right to say whatever you want to say. I got a right to say something back. And I got a right to say what I want to say. And if you disagree with me, you got a right to disagree. And I'm open to that. This is how the First Amendment works. You can't say, oh, I'm going to just say what I want, and you're not allowed to say anything back because that's harmful or hurtful, or it's, what's the other thing they say, hate speech or all this other nonsense that they came out with in this soft society that we're in. No, if you get in the ring, you might get punched in the face. That's the way it works. You can't go to a fight gym and get in the ring and then get mad when somebody hits you. All right, you got in the ring. You got in the ring by putting this video out. Now you're going to get a response. So nobody is suppressing dissent. There is no dissent. What are you dissenting? So there's a group out there called Common Defense, and they argue that the administration wants to intimidate critics of its military policies. I say this is a false frame. That is a complete straw man. So let's get them another slice.
Strawberry cheesecake.
So Common Defense, congrats on getting a slice of strawberry cheesecake, leftover strawberry cheesecake from Thanksgiving. They say they're trying to intimidate critics of the current administration's military policies. Okay, what policy did this video criticize? They can't answer the question. So they didn't criticize any policy. Secondly, there's nothing in the policy, the military policy of the current administration that is illegal. So this is another straw man. Let's get them another slice of strawberry cheesecake.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Critics of his military policies. There's no policy that says anything illegal, because if it says something illegal, it wouldn't have made it into policy in the first place. So this is a false frame that you're criticizing military policies by saying refuse illegal orders. That means you're intimating that something in the policy is illegal. What is it? Name it. What is it? They can't answer the question because there isn't one. Again, they're fighting against a ghost here. And they say the administration is trying to intimidate critics of the policy. That's nonsense. These people came out as critics of nothingness. They're criticizing a ghost, and they got the FBI's attention, which is what they asked for. You asked for the attention of the FBI, you got it. And you can be a critic. If they were just criticizing and saying, hey, we're military trained or military experienced people or national security experienced Democratic lawmakers, and we don't like the Donald Trump administration, and we want to criticize something specifically that he did through the military. Here's what it is, and here's what the negative things we had to say about him and it. They would be completely justified in doing so, and we wouldn't be talking about this right now. They got a right to do that. First Amendment. They didn't do that. So this group, like Common Defense, making this hollow argument, it means absolutely nothing. And this is the nonsense that goes on in politics, folks. There are people with full-time jobs working in these places saying these things that make no sense logically whatsoever. And these are the people that we've chosen to be our decision makers. Again, you can't be mad at anybody else. Be mad at yourself. We voted for these people. Now, conservative veterans say the clip is aiming to weaken military discipline. Now, I don't know if it actually does weaken military discipline, because that would mean the people in the military are actually watching that video and thinking, maybe I shouldn't follow orders. Is that going to happen? I don't think so. Now, I have not spent any time in the military. I'm not from a military background at all. But I don't think there's any person in the military in America right now saying, now that I saw that video, next time my sergeant or lieutenant comes around and gives me an order, I'm going to say, well, that sounds like an illegal order, Sergeant. I don't know if I'm going to follow that one. I don't think that's going to happen. So I understand the conservatives saying this because they got to do the same thing the Democrats do. They got to play the game. And playing the game means taking some little thing that occurred, then you reframe it into some bigger, worse thing, and then you argue about that bigger, worse thing as if it actually occurred. This didn't actually occur, but I understand the conservatives got to do the same thing Democrats got to do. This is the political machine, everybody. And if you don't like this and you don't like that, it looks like these people are just playing games, arguing about and with each other while doing absolutely nothing to help the everyday American citizen. First of all, you're 100% correct. And secondly, this is the system that we chose. We allowed the system to come to exist. So who are you going to be mad at? You can be mad at the people in the game, but we allowed the game to be shaped as it is. They're just players. Don't be mad at the players, be mad at the game. So some figures are claiming that telling troops to refuse orders undermines command hierarchy, even if legally accurate, which is what I just said. They're not going to go to their lieutenant or sergeant and say, I don't know if I'm going to follow that sergeant because I'm not sure it's legal or not. That's not going to happen. You're trying to undermine command hierarchy. I don't think it's going to actually happen. I don't think any military soldier is going to all of a sudden not want to listen to orders from their person who ranks above them in the system. I don't think that's going to happen. But the fact that Democrats even put this out there is ridiculous because, again, they wouldn't be doing it if Kamala Harris was president, even if they were doing the same thing, meaning the administration. Now, the principle cited matches historical military ethics. So Nuremberg, Geneva, UCMJ training all teach troops that unlawful orders must be rejected. I say this is thinking past the sale. You just throwing that out there for no reason with no context. That doesn't mean just because you can justify it by saying, well, hey, here's some examples of me being right. This is what we call the Texas sharpshooter logical fallacy. Texas sharpshooter logical fallacy was someone just throws a bunch of stuff out there, then they pick the 2 or 3 things of the 10 that they said that were accurate, and then they say, well, see, look at these 2 or 3 things I said that were proven right. What about the other 8 that were complete nonsense? That's what this is. They're saying, well, there are examples of people following illegal orders in the military, and they ended up being bad people and having to go to jail for it. So we're just preemptively letting you know, don't follow legal orders. No, nonsense. They're just making this up post hoc and saying, okay, well, now that we said it, now here's some backing information for why we said it after we got the backlash. See, if everybody was supporting it, they wouldn't have to offer this. They're offering this only because they got backlash. Oh, here's some supporting evidence after the fact that proves why what we said could be accurate, because here's some other examples of it possibly being true. Nonsense. This is complete illogic right here. Now, the timing made this look politically targeted. Really? Of course it did. Video came right after Donald Trump did some more airstrikes and more domestic operations, so it makes the motives appear partisan. All right, and I'm being very friendly when languaging it this way. Of course the motives are partisan. Anything the Democrats say regarding Donald Trump, we know is partisan. We know they're trying to make him look bad. We know they're trying to undermine him. We know that the whole point is to resist him. We know that anything they say about Donald Trump, they're trying to make him look bad, make him fail, try to make him lose so that they can say, well, see, choosing Donald Trump was a bad idea. That means y'all have to choose one of us the next time around, i.e. the 2028 election. That's all this is. This is just a framing for the team. This is team player. I told you all the top 2 priorities of lawmakers in Congress. Number 1, keep your job. Number 2, help the team win, especially when it comes to the Democrats. This is more true for the Democrats than it is the Republicans, because Republicans will go against each other publicly in Congress. Republicans in Congress will go against other Republicans publicly. Democrats in Congress will just go along with the line of the team, even if the line of the team is ridiculous and it doesn't make any sense. They'll go along with it. So they're on one accord, at least when it comes to one thing. Now, as the clip went viral, again, it sparked national debates. A bunch of views pushed this issue into the mainstream and congressional arguments, and that's why we are here talking about it. Now, the probes test the limits of speech or debate protections. Investigating lawmakers for public statements aimed at the military personnel presses the edges of constitutional immunity, which is what the lawmakers allegedly have, constitutional immunity. I say if you say something that tells the troops, our military, which is one of the main reasons why America has the strength that we have. One of them is that we have oceans on either side of our country, so it's hard to invade us because we can see you coming. Another reason is because we have a very strong military. And you throwing something out there and telling the military to not obey an illegal order when there is no illegal order, it sounds like you're just trying to plant the seed for something bigger. And you deserve backlash for that. You deserve the attention for it. So you deserve to be probed. I have no problem with the probe. Again, I don't think anything's going to come out of it, anything like anybody losing their job or going to jail. That's not going to happen. But do they deserve to get some extra attention because they asked for it? Yes. As the saying goes, you can't, when you call for attention, you can't hang up. All right, these Democratic lawmakers call for attention. They placed the call, and now somebody picked up the phone. All right, now you got to deal with the attention. Now, polls show a very divided Republic. Context surveys show Republicans overwhelmingly support the investigations, while Democrats overwhelmingly see them as political retaliation. All right, is that news to anybody? Anybody not know that? Now, last point. Fallout here may chill future congressional oversight. Lawmakers may fear accusations of sedition anytime they warn about military legality or presidential overreach. I say that's some nonsense. That's nonsense. You may fear that you may get an accusation of sedition or military legal attention simply because you threw something out there telling the military what to do and what not to do regarding a president when you're clearly on the other side of the aisle from this person. If you ask for that kind of attention, you're going to get it. And again, you cannot hang up the phone after you call for attention. That's it. You ask for it. So if you get accused of sedition, okay, let's look at the definition of sedition. Is what you did seditious? If so, then you're going to get attention. Yeah, they had no problem getting attention when they were going viral and they were all high and mighty and everybody was co-signing the message. It was only when they started to get backlash that all of a sudden there's a problem. They didn't have a problem with the virality of it and all the attention that they got. They only had a problem with the downside of that attention. I said this, I don't know if I was talking on this live or somewhere else when I said it. But you put material on the internet, folks, and it gets consumed by, I say the Mendoza line is about 100,000 people. Anything you put out to get consumed by 100,000 people or more, you will get backlash, guaranteed. I don't care what it is. It could be something it could be something like, you ever see those videos of a military person coming home and a little 5-year-old kid goes running to mommy or daddy because they're surprised they didn't know that dad was coming home. If that video gets 1 million views, there will be something negative in the video, in the comments rather. Somebody will come up with something negative to say in the comments. Why is this human nature? When you call for attention, some of it is going to be negative. You're going to get some backlash. This is the game that you're in. And a Democratic politician, they of all people know this very well. Donald Trump came in and got a whole bunch of attention. And guess what he got? A whole lot of backlash. That's the game, everybody. You don't want negative attention, then you don't want any attention. When you ask for attention, you do something that is calling for attention. You do not get to determine or to dictate what type of attention. If you ask for attention, you're going to get it. Well, that's not always true. You ask for attention and you get it. You can't decide what flavor it is. That's the way it works. Everybody understand this? All this said, everybody, we're going to get into the comments. I do need to take a quick restroom break. So let me give you one more slice of cheesecake for the Democrat lawmakers who came up with this nonsense.
Strawberry cheesecake.
And everybody give me 90 seconds so I can run to the restroom and then we can get into the commentary. Please like the live. We're at 45,000 likes. We are behind pace, folks. We're going to be done at 10 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock. We are behind pace on the likes. Please get the likes up.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
90 seconds. All right, here we go. Let's get into it. By the way, for those who don't know, I do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. Usually go from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. For those who don't know. So those of you who want to make this part of your normal process, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on business days. Sometimes on holidays we're off. Sometimes on holidays we're on anyway. But I'll let you know. I'll let you know usually the day before if I'm going to be off the next day. So those of you who if you miss a day, you might miss the updates. So I get people messaging me and texting me like, hey, I thought you were going live today, but see, you didn't get the memo because you missed the last one. So be here every day so you don't miss anything. JS Pareda said, why each president? Well, for Barack Obama, there's a bunch of drone strikes in multiple places. For George W. Bush, we can talk about the invasion of the countries that we went into after 9/11. And for Donald Trump, if you're going to do it, you could say something about these maritime strikes. So there you go. 1, 2, 3. Dees said Bush was known as Governor of Death because he hung 200 people in Texas before becoming president. Well, doesn't Texas have a death penalty? Depends on why they got hung. Now, I get what you're saying, but it depends on why and what they did that led to it. So I can't just go off that just alone. Big Uncle Rose said, has Trump provided any evidence that they were all actually pharmaceutical boats? I don't know if he has, and it's really not Donald Trump himself who will provide it. That would be from the department that is carrying out the strikes. It was not necessarily Donald Trump directly. And that's number one. Number two, I don't know if they had to provide any evidence. Provide evidence to who? Who they provide evidence to? Because they don't really owe answers to the everyday American citizen. And this is something that everyone needs to understand as a American citizen is that once we elect someone as president or we elect them to any office, if we don't like what they're doing, so what? The answer is so what? Why? Because we elected them. So once you elect Donald Trump, for example, as president, he gets to do what he wants to do under his powers as president. If you don't like what he's doing, you can protest and make noise and post on social media. But if he doesn't want to respond to you or offer you an explanation or evidence or information on why he's doing what he's doing, he doesn't really have to. They choose to, but they don't have to. And if you really don't like what they're doing, then you go to the ballot box and you vote for somebody different the next time around. But once they're voted in, they do whatever they want to do. Generally speaking, within the confines of the rules, they do whatever they want to do once they get voted in. So Big Uncle Rowe, I don't think he has, but at the same time, he doesn't have to because we voted for him. Callie Gal, good morning. Thank you. Said good commentary. Thank you. Cass had followed through with, I don't know what you're referring to. Jinx, thanks for the follow. JS Pareda said, what are you pro-Trump? What does that even mean? What are you referring to? Night Owl said they should be expelled from Congress. That's not going to happen. E8 said the survivors is hanging on the side of the boat that should not have been killed. Why not? JS Pareda said you're just talking. Well, we're all just talking. What else can we do? This is a live stream on the internet. What else can you do? Constitutionalist said that the statement is true. Just the Democrats tried to insinuate unlawful orders were made. What statement? HB Mays said bad thing is the guy. And by the way, I'm reading the comments from the oldest to the newest, by the way. So if you think I'm ignoring your comment, I'm not. I'm reading from the oldest comments to the newest comments so I can catch everybody's comments. HB Mays said bad thing is the guy had to apologize for being right. What guy? D said fishing boats don't run 60 kPAs with 6 engines and 0 fishing equipment. Yes, I agree with that. Callie Gal, thanks for the follow. Rick Thomas said more people die each year in USA from overdosing the entire Vietnam. Yeah, that's true. Constitutionalist said Trump is also correct. Sedition requires execution. Yes, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. D said treason is no joke. I agree. I wouldn't call this treason, though. Metacube said they're just protecting the First Amendment, which is what they should do. The First Amendment should always be protected. These Democrat lawmakers are protected under the First Amendment with what they said, even though what they said is going to get some attention, which is already getting. They're not going to get prosecuted for this. They don't have enough. They don't have enough to make this into a case. D said, y'all way too comfortable with treason against the USA. This is not treason. So this is straw man. So
Strawberry cheesecake.
Esteban said free speech unless it's against our president. Well, they didn't actually mention the president. And they do have free speech. That's the reason why this is just being talked about on social media. They exercise their free speech rights, and we are exercising it by talking about it right now. Nothing happened to them. They got a knock on the door from the FBI, which they deserved for what they said. and how they said it and the context in which they said it. That's part of free speech too. Part of free speech does not mean you don't get backlash for what you say. Y'all got to understand what free speech is. Free speech is say whatever you want. That does not mean that you get to avoid backlash for what you say. You say the wrong thing, you might get a response from somebody who you don't want to get a response from because you exercise your right to free speech. Free speech doesn't mean you can just talk reckless and nothing happens. And I'm not even saying that what they said was reckless, but it could be looked at as reckless, and that's the reason why they got the response that they got. This is all part of the game. You get all of it. You can't just pick and choose the parts that are comfortable for you. You get all of it if you decide to engage. Nick89, thanks for the heart. D said, one dead, one in critical. Something has indeed happened. What are you referring to? J. Rocker said, both are incitement. Why is one but not the other? As I already explained. I gave you the definition of incitement. What did Donald Trump incite? He said peacefully and patriotically. That 3-word phrase removes any incitement you can give him for January 6, 2021. He said peacefully and patriotically march. Marching is protected under the First Amendment. That's right to gather peacefully and protest. Now, the people who gathered peacefully and protested, nothing happened to them from J6. I think I said 9/11 again, but J6. When it comes to J6, the people who trespassed and or they did something violent, or they went into the building when they weren't supposed to, or they crossed the police lines and they weren't supposed to, all of them got prosecuted. So again, there was no incitement. He didn't tell them to do that. They chose to do it. Just because they did it after a Donald Trump speech, we cannot connect. Can't confuse causation with correlation, which is exactly why he didn't deserve to get any charges for that. They tried really hard, but they failed. Trump girl Michelle said, don't forget our National Guardsmen. Yeah, we talked about that last week. Trump girl, you missed it. That was on Friday. Metacube said, what are those books about? Well, I've written technically 43 books as of the date, so you had to ask me more specifically, but I can't go through all 43. Old Glory 2025 said, it's all going to take is that Afghan saying he did it because of what they said. I don't think that'd be enough, but let's see if that happens. Kristen said, dang it, I have to go to work. Have a great day, everyone. Shout out to everybody going to work. Kristen, have a good day at work. HB Mays said, consequences. Yes. Stardust said, we are sick of the D-rug flow into the country. Other countries can be with us or against us. That I agree with. D's, thanks for the follow. Stardust said, there are consequences. Mike Doc 991, good morning. Nat said, that's actually not how the First Amendment works. What did I get wrong about the First Amendment, Nat? Please correct me. D said, free speech means nothing if it's always what you want to hear. That is correct. Pepper said he needs to explain that to TikTok, they violate your First Amendment right all the time. Well, TikTok is his own platform. So again, they're not violating your First Amendment rights. I think you have this incorrect, Pepper. So I say this as a person who has experienced. I've been suspended 16 times from TikTok over the last year and a half. 16 times I've been suspended off TikTok for saying something that TikTok's system didn't like me saying. Is that a violation of my First Amendment right? The answer is no, it's not. Because my First Amendment right was not violated because it didn't stop me from saying it. They said, because you said it, we're going to do something. And this is their platform. TikTok has their own platform. If I decide to publish on TikTok, I have to operate by the rules of TikTok. And if I violate their rules, they have a right to respond to me violating their rules. It's their rules. I got to use my First Amendment right saying whatever I wanted, and they get to use their right as the owner of a platform to respond to what I said. So they're not violating my right. And they have their own platform. Again, you go into somebody else's space, you got to operate by their rules. It's like you go into somebody else's house. Somebody invites you to their house for Thanksgiving dinner, and you get there and they say, take your shoes off. You say, no, I'm not taking my shoes off. And you go stand on their couch and you go say your furniture's ugly, the food is bad, and your wife is fat. Okay, you exercise your First Amendment right, but you also might get your ass kicked. You might also get kicked out of the house. So yes, you exercise your First Amendment right. You also got a response to that exorcism of your First Amendment right. That's the way it works. Esteban said, no evidence of pharmaceuticals, by the way. Quit believing everything that you hear. Well, first of all, no evidence doesn't mean it wasn't there. And you saying no evidence doesn't make it true. Trump girl Michelle said, that sounds good. We're at 72,000 likes, folks. Please keep tapping the screen. HB May said, I'm good as long as when someone comes back with facts, not just how they feel. Well, first of all, HB Mays, what facts are you asking about? Because there's always millions of facts. any situation you get into or that you hear about, there are more facts than you have time or space to consume most of the time. And it also is also not just about facts. It's about the interpretation of facts. The reason why we have a legal system in America is not because the legal system finds out the facts. We can find out the facts through the internet. The legal system's job is to interpret the facts. And that's how you end up with guilty, not guilty. We get charges. We don't get charges. You get probation. You go to jail. That's all based on interpretation of the facts. The reason why we have lawyers. The job of a lawyer is not to present the facts. The job of the lawyer is to present the facts and offer an interpretation of the facts, because the interpretation of the facts is how we decide guilty or not guilty. Remember the O.J. Simpson case? We had all the facts. The question was how do we interpret these facts? There was a bloody glove, and one side said this is O.J.'s glove. The other side said if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. Well, which side won? The side that interpreted the facts in the way that most convinced the jury. So these days, it's not just about facts, and a lot of people throw that word out there, facts, but facts don't determine outcomes. What determines outcomes is the interpretation of the facts and the persuasion you're able to achieve based on your interpretation and explanation of the facts, not just the facts on their own. Because if all we needed was facts on their own, then we could just use Google and some but artificial intelligence platforms. They can tell us all the facts very easily. And court cases will be decided by ChatGPT or Perplexity rather than by actual humans. But humans have an ability to interpret and make decisions based on interpretation that artificial intelligence isn't quite there yet. And hopefully it never gets there, honestly. Take a ride with Time says some people hate the fact that their actions have consequences. I agree with that. Or they don't consider it is really what it is. Not that they hate it. I get what you're saying, Tom, but it's really that they don't consider it until the consequences happen. And they're like, oh, well, hey, my free speech. And some of them are smart enough to know exactly what they're doing. And then they just feign as if they feel like guilt. They feel that they're being attacked when the consequences come. Some of them are just smart enough. They're smart enough to know it, and then they just play the game. And they play the emotional game to try to get everybody to feel like they're being victimized. Like Letitia James in New York, Attorney General of New York, she played the whole thing, nobody's above the law. Her thing was just straight black and white. Nobody's above the law. So if Donald Trump is acting like he's above the law, we're going to prosecute him. And everybody was all high and mighty. She was all high and mighty. Everybody gave her a round of applause when she used her power as Attorney General to go after Trump, because the whole thing was nobody's above the law. Now, when she gets caught being below the law, now she's playing the whole game of, oh, well, they're just trying to come after me. They're just coming after me because I went after Donald Trump. Well, wait a minute. Maybe they are coming after you because you went after Donald Trump, but also if you didn't do anything wrong, they wouldn't have anything. They got something on you, Tish, because you did something wrong. And now you got caught, and now you're playing the victim game. So, and Letitia James is no dummy. She's smart enough to understand exactly what she was doing. She probably didn't figure she was going to get caught. She probably thought she had Trump and it was going to take him out and keep him from running and becoming president. Had all those things happened, then this wouldn't be happening to her. It's happening to her because she ended up gambling and losing. Donald Trump ended up winning. And now they're coming after her. Did Donald Trump decide to put her in the crosshairs? I believe so, he did. But at the same time, she didn't do anything wrong. They couldn't do anything. Because Donald Trump had put Kamala Harris in the crosshairs, yeah, but they can't charge her with anything. She didn't do nothing. So you're getting charged because you did something. So that's the whole situation. And by the way, we may do a live on that too, because that temporarily, I believe temporarily that case got thrown out. That Letitia James and the James Comey both got thrown out last week. But they're not over. T66 said, I love how you analyze and break down the subject. Thank you. Me too. Nat said, oh, how naive you are. And then right after that, Wags947 said, dropping facts. So which one is it? We got a split in the audience here. So some say I'm completely wrong and some people say I'm completely right. So which one is it? And actually, I like when it's like this. Naturally, Brittany said exactly. Good morning, Brittany. Stardust said, why would they outrun the Coast Guard if they were fishing? I don't know. Maybe they were chasing after a really fast trout. You never know. Maybe it was a fast fish they were trying to catch. Or the fish was running away with the bait. Any of you ever been fishing? You know, sometimes the fish grabs your bait and it tries to run away, and you got to kind of like run with the fish to make sure it doesn't snap your line or it doesn't steal your bait. So maybe they were just running with the fish so they could keep the bait. I saw some guy doing that. I was at the beach like a couple months ago, and this guy was fishing. There's a bunch of guys fishing along the pier, and this guy caught something on his line, and the fish was pulling hard. So he was trying to keep up with the fish, but if he just stayed in one spot, then the line probably would have snapped. The fish would have took his bait and the line would have snapped. So he started walking along, and he asked the other fisherman, like, get out the way so I can keep going with this fish. And he did catch the fish. I got it on video. He caught I don't know what it was. Probably, I don't know what they catch down here. Don't get me the line. D said, how'd that happen if they weren't trafficking? I don't know. You're asking the wrong person. J Rocket said, why are they responsible for how people responded? Who are you talking about? I don't know what you're referring to. User said they're repeating an actual statement in the UCMJ. Yeah, that's fine. Which is why I said that this is not going to go anywhere. It's just a story, but it's not going anywhere. EA said maybe they heard the United States is blowing up fishing boats. That's why they're running. Yeah, maybe they did. If I heard the United States is blowing up fishing boats in a certain part of the ocean, here's one thing I'm not going to do, EA. I'm not going to get in a fishing boat in that part of the ocean. That sounds stupid. So I wouldn't do that. So they made a mistake by doing the same thing. If you just saw two other boats get blown up doing the same thing that you're about to do in the same spot, you probably shouldn't do that. So I think they were dumb for doing the same thing. They should know better. D said, create another account. All they can do is ban you. Well, once you start building up an audience, you don't want to have to create another account. Naturally said, them say, remember your oath to the military. Do you think they aren't? Well, they're saying that, again, they're insinuating something, but they're not actually saying it, which is, and with what they're saying, this is why it was sedition. What they did was sedition. Now, again, is it going to get charged or criminally prosecuted? No and no. EA said they all should understand they should not allow unlawful orders. They should not follow unlawful orders. That's the whole point. Yeah, we know that's the whole point. But what are they talking about? What unlawful orders? There weren't any. Meat Cube said Marjorie Taylor Greene resigned. Yeah, we talked about that last week. J Rocket said exactly, it won't matter. So why does it matter that they said it? So the same reason that you're in here leaving comments about it. It matters because the news item. This is what the news is. We talk about things that occurred. Most things that we talk about in the news cycle 6 weeks from now won't matter anymore. Kath Meow said, yeah, but Trump not scared. E8 said, you're leaving out the word unlawful. Well, I use the word illegal is what they did. KP said, you love tap dancing for them. Who am I tap dancing for? Who's them? And how am I tap dancing? Who am I working for? If I'm doing something for somebody, that means they have some power to tell me what to do. Please name the human on this planet who has the power to tell me what to do, because I don't know who they are. Rick Thomas said soldier will be in Leavenworth quickly. Pretty much. User said nothing wrong with reminding soldiers to honor their oath to the Constitution and not the president. There is something wrong with it. It depends on the context of how you did it, how you said it, when you said it, where you said it, and what point you're trying to make when you did it, and also who did it. So there is something wrong with it depending on context. So user 99, what you just said here is an example of facts versus interpretation. So you just put out the fact. The fact is all they did was remind soldiers to honor their oath to the Constitution and not to the president. On paper, just that alone sounds completely neutral and nothing's wrong with it. But when we add in the context of who said it, where they said it, when they said it, who they directed it to, and what their background is, there is something wrong with it, which is why the FBI knocked on their door. So what you just did there, user 99, is what we call the Mott and Bailey fallacy. So congratulations to you.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
The Mott and Bailey fallacy, for those who don't know what it is, the Mott and Bailey fallacy is when someone gets caught or called out for doing something, and then they defend what they did by making it sound completely neutral, and they were just doing something completely neutral and objective, and there was no possible negative interpretation of what they did. So these Democrat lawmakers put out, you must refuse any unlawful or illegal order, and they directed it at the military while they themselves are lawmakers working in Congress, and they all happen to be Democrat, and they all have made it clear they go against Donald Trump. That's the context. But then when they get called out on it, they could say something like what user 99 says here. All we did was remind soldiers to honor their oath to the Constitution, not to the president. It's like the I was just. And you ever hear somebody use the term I was just? You ever catch somebody doing something they ain't supposed to do and you call them out and they try to defend themselves, but say, oh, I was just, and then they give a clean, nice, friendly explanation of what they just got caught doing. All right, that's what you just did there. That's called the Mott and Bailey fallacy. So next time you catch somebody doing it, now you know what it is. Anastasia, thank you for the lightning bolt. Naturally, Brittany said the illegal activity is being exposed. It's already happened. Which illegal activity are you talking about? Kim H, thanks for the follow. Six Beetle said Clinton bombed Yugoslavia and Biden hit Yemen, no war declared. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. You can go back to every president and accuse them of a war crime if we're going to be specific. You can go back again as far as I can remember. Let's just say this century, every president. Naturally, Brittany said the military may have to step in because the judicial system has been infiltrated. Well, they've all been infiltrated. Maybe in the military too. Easy with that door, son. Easy with the door.
Okay.
Cat Meow said January 6th was a good point and had a good outcome in the end. No one got hurt.
What is it?
Oh, you got something else? So some people did get hurt. I mean, some people were fighting. Some people got beat up. Ashley Babbitt did get shot. She was on the Trump side. She got shot.
Whatever hear this.
Yeah, and that erases the whole thing, right? You got it? Is it stuck? Oh, you got it. Good job. Yeah, I see.
It goes back.
Yes. E8 said, Echoes 9711, good morning. E8 said Trump told people to go to the Capitol to stop the vote or at least delay it, and he was successful.
You ordered that too?
Okay.
But they have to get the pin out.
Okay. See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you drawing? Spiders?
I wasn't trying to draw anything. I was just seeing that it works. Okay, so now should I do it again?
You should draw a spider. That's real. And a zombie robot.
All right, that's a lot of things to draw. How about you draw it, and I'll sit here with you while you do it.
I'm not gonna draw a zombie robot.
Okay. Well, I'm not gonna draw it either. I gotta finish taking my comments. You wanna sit up here?
Okay.
You wanna sit here?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
These are. That's interesting.
Okay, now you hold it in your lap because I don't want this making too much noise. Actually, you can put it here. Just don't let it make too much noise. So, let's see.
It's a
So
little
E8 was
stuff.
saying Trump told people to go to the Capitol to stop the vote or at least delay it, and he was successful. Successful in what part? Telling people to.
Over here. We need the legs.
Okay.
No more legs.
Okay.
Other than that.
Easy with the door. Okay. To delay the vote or at least stop it. Yes, because he had a reason to believe. Donald Trump had a reason to believe that things didn't go right when it came to that election process. He had a right to that. He had a right to believe that. Now, he was telling them he wanted them to stop the vote, though, or delay it, okay, by being gentle, by being peaceful and patriotic in their opposition. Yes, can I help you with this? Yes, he was telling people to be peaceful and patriotic in their opposition to what was happening. And again, he had a right to that. He didn't say go in there and break into the building. He didn't say trespass. He didn't say attack anybody. He didn't say beat anybody up. He didn't say cross police lines. He did not say defy orders of security. Now, people went and did those things anyway. You can't pin that on Donald Trump when he, first of all, didn't tell them to do it. You can't say that he's responsible for the actions of other adults. And secondly, when he clearly said he gave himself an out clause, so to speak, by saying peacefully and patriotically march down to the Capitol. With those three words, peacefully and patriotically, he removed himself from being held responsible for what some people might have done at the Capitol on January 6, 2021. So, Six Beetle said Antifa tried a takeover of a town hall near an ICE facility. Yeah, Donald Trump sent his people on it, right? Pick up that leg that's on the floor.
Okay.
E8 said, why did he tell them to march to the Capitol? What was the purpose? Electro scheme. E8, the reason he told them to march to the Capitol was, again, you have a right to march. It doesn't have to be a reason. You don't have to have a reason. He told them to come to D.C. for the Stop the Steal speech. Give it to me. So the Stop the Steal speech was Donald Trump's speech behind his assertion that he didn't think things went right when it came to the way that election went. Now, everybody understands that. That's the reason why he called it Stop the Steal. Then when people came to D.C., he told them, march down to that Capitol peacefully and patriotically and let the lawmakers know we don't agree with the way things went, and y'all need to let them know that they shouldn't even do this vote because they shouldn't be voting on anything to verify that election because I don't think the election was done right. And that was his reason, if you want to call it a reason. And that's it. He doesn't have to explain it any further than that. He could just told them go down there and march. Just go down there and march and just make a bunch of noise. He could tell them to do that. You have a right to do that in the United States. That's protected by the Constitution. It's your right to gather peacefully and say whatever it is that you want to say. E8 said the damage from J6 is more than all the BLM riots. Just Google the total cost. Easy with the door. So let's just say that that's true. EA, I'm not Googling anything. Anytime somebody throws out a point and they say, well, just Google it as a justification of their point, I become dubious of your point. But let's just give you the benefit of the doubt, EA, and assume that you're right. That the damage from January 6th is more than all the BLM riots. And BLM did have riots. There were protesters, there were rioters. The same way January 6th, there were protesters and there were rioters. The damage from January 6th, whatever you're saying, could be Googled as a total cost. It depends, first of all, on what cost are we talking. We're talking the cost of the damage to the building. We're talking about the total cost of the damage to the communities, because when it comes to BLM, there were riots happening all over the country. You would have to get data from every jurisdiction, which may not even be available, as opposed to everything being in one centralized location from the federal government, especially when the federal government was in control of the Democrats right after J6. Of course, they're going to make every single detail, that at least the parts they want to tell you, big as possible, because they were trying to build up the case against Donald Trump and all the people who, without proper due cause, were held incarcerated after January 6th. So your argument, I understand on a directional level what you're saying, and without anybody critically looking into the things that you're saying, sounds really good. But in the big picture, this is a false one. It's a good amount of non sequitur and a good amount of straw man you're throwing in here. So I'll just give you this one.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Finn's rescuer said, threatening execution is an inappropriate response. According to who? We voted for Donald Trump, and he's the president, and that's what he decided to say. So you deeming it inappropriate is completely irrelevant. You voted for Donald Trump. Even if you didn't vote for him, you voted for him because he got chosen in a free and fair democratic election process to be the president. So if you think what he's doing is inappropriate, then choose a different president. Six Beetle said, Democrats tried a J6 style takeover in Broadview, Illinois. I didn't know about that. Not influencing anyone said, ooh, this is what I'm waiting on. Well, I'm glad. I don't know what you're waiting on. I'm glad you're getting it. Hopefully you're getting it. You found me again. Thank you for the gift. Karina, good morning. And thanks for joining the fan club. You found me again. Karina, strawberry cheesecake. Yes. Kath Meow said, if you want, so I lost my spot. Where was I? So I got to scroll back to get to my spot. That means we got a lot of comments, which is good. I don't mind taking the comments. We got another 30 minutes here, folks, to take comments. And man, there's a lot to do. Okay. So there's a lot of comments here today, folks. I lost my spot in the comments and it just lapsed over some comments. So some of your comments I missed. Nothing personal, but it just lapsed them out, so I can't even see them. Christy said, I guess those roosters are everywhere. Yeah, there's roosters everywhere in South Florida. I got the window open today, so that's why y'all can hear them. Toga NY said, enjoy the conversation. Thank you. Leah, Lightning Bolts, thank you. Jared Yoder, thank you for the follow. Cece said, people forget that some things are a matter of national security and we don't have a right to know. Yeah, generally. And once we elect somebody to office, they can do whatever they want to do. And if you don't like it, then again, you got to vote for somebody else. That's the way it works. Uncharted Water said Pete Hegseth will make that call. I don't know if there's a specific person. Well, there probably is a specific person. I don't know who that person is, but people tend to put it on Trump just because everybody knows who Trump is. But Trump's not sitting there saying, all right, hit that boat right there. That's not happening. CC said, I can't have complete transparency because people are insane and freak out over nothing. Generally, you're right. And we don't have complete transparency anyway. John Rennell said, why hasn't the Border Patrol not been arrested? They brought in 20 million illegals. They took oaths. Well, they followed the orders of the person in charge. So the people in charge said, we're not going to enforce the laws as much. They were told that, so they did what they were told. And you got to remember, this is a job. Y'all remember, these people have jobs, folks. So it sounds good to tell people, don't follow the instructions of your boss. How many of you would go to work and just not follow the instructions of your boss because you heard somebody on the internet say it? That's a hell of a risk you're taking, because how are you going to pay your bills? So it sounds really good when you're telling somebody else to do it. Whole different story when you got to do it. Echo said, my TikTok is acting up. Hopefully it stops. EA said, killing the survivors on the side of the boat is a war crime. Where you been? Okay, who's prosecuting them? Who's taking who to court for that war crime? Was the question that I asked during the live. So if you call it a war crime, who's taking them to court? And would they even show up in court? Who has to listen to them? Who is they? Who's taking them to court? Is anybody going to show up? And what's going to happen? Who's the judge and the jury? The answer is nobody. Nobody and nothing. Nothing's going to happen. Connor Ben said, how do I feel about reparations? What reparations for who and for what reason? Irma V, thank you for the gift. The rose hand. Debbie K said he should be an upstanding person, be accountable for his actions instead of having people lie. Who is he? Who are you talking about? Leah said, keep tapping. We're halfway to the goal. Yes, we're at 100,000 already. Thank you, everybody. Keep tapping the screen, though. Keep going. Noel said, good morning from Pleasant Hill, California. Shout out to everybody in California up early. Chanel Stuff said it's called sedition. Yeah, we talked about that, and I read the definition out loud earlier in this live. Sooner Grammy, thank you for the follow. Chanel said was the same as, yeah, we talked about that already. Trump Girl said, could I explain sedition, please? Well, what I will do is read the definition again. Definition of sedition is incitement of resistance to or insurrection against lawful authority. Everybody got it? Let me read it again. Incitement of resistance to or insurrection against lawful authority. That is what it means. So these 6 Democratic lawmakers, they incited that the military should resist lawful authority. Their explanation is, well, if the lawful authority gives an unlawful order, you shouldn't listen to it. And that is enough to defend their point, even though I don't agree with what they did. Which is why they're not going to be charged. Nothing's going to happen. They're not going to get fired. None of that's going to occur. It's just something for us to talk about. That's all it is. Herman said, actually does mean that you don't get backlash from the government for what you said. What means that? Sooner Grammy said, people don't seem to understand military law and civilian law are different. Yes, they are. Easy with that door.
Okay.
Kim K322 said, what did I miss? Who said what? That's a very loaded question, Kim. What is that?
For you.
Is this chopsticks?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it is tea.
No, what's this?
These are tweezers.
I think it's chopsticks.
No, they're tweezers.
It's tweezers?
They get these little sugar canes.
Oh, it's tweezers. Okay, you're right. You're right. Okay.
Enjoy you.
Thank you. Easy on the door. Easy with the door.
Okay.
Miss Kim Bakes, thank you for the love you so much. Kate BC, thank you for the heart. Cece said, people who control the country should be held to a higher standard and have consequences. Not necessarily. We already got rules for all this stuff. Cece, I generally don't agree with the frame that someone who has a higher job or a certain job should be held to a higher standard than who? Then compared to who? Higher standard than what?
Daddy, do you want some of this?
I don't know what it is.
It's a cherry.
You got to be easier with that door.
Lemon.
You're closing that door too hard.
See?
Yeah, I see.
So do you
Yeah,
want
this
some
looks like
bread?
dessert food. I don't eat dessert food. Not really. Easy with the door. Gentle. Kim said they dropped the Georgia case also. We knew that case was dead since last year. They just officially dropped it. Yes. Deline, thanks for the follow. EA said the point was to delay the vote so that Trump's false scheme would be successful. Okay, well, if that's what you think, fine. Didn't they try to prosecute him for all that? And how did that go? Trump said, holy cow, that's a lot of books. That is true. Thank you. Mary said, do I think Hegseth is guilty? No, he hasn't been charged with it. I don't even know what you're talking about. What murder are you talking about? T. Rich said, terms and conditions of the app. LOL. Yeah, pretty much. Every app has terms and conditions that we agree to when we start using it, and they can kick you off for any reason if they want to. Dolphin said, I'm Rick James, F your couch. Yeah, pretty much. Ms. Watkins said, I think the problem is when they pick and choose what they flag and then keep you from saying more. Well, I generally agree with you, Ms. Watkins. And at the same time, I'm an absolutist when it comes to, I'm an entrepreneur. So I'm an absolutist when it comes to when you step into somebody else's space, you operate by their rules. And if you don't like the rules, get out of their space. So I'm using TikTok. TikTok has rules. If I don't like the rules on the TikTok, then I can stop using TikTok. But if I'm going to use TikTok, I got to operate by their rules. So I don't like it when I get suspended or suppressed on TikTok because I said something that they don't like. But at the same time, it's their house. And if you're in somebody else's house, you got to operate by their rules. That's the way it works. So if I ran an app, I'm going to make rules too. So I can't be mad at them for enforcing their rules. The good thing is I haven't been suspended in last time I got suspended was like late May, early June. So we got a nice little run going here. Things going well. So TikTok, we're in a good space. Marky Man said, you talking about my wife. How did you know? Trump girl said, do you believe in any conspiracy theories? I've heard so many in the CK case. I don't believe any of it. Well, what do you mean? Do I believe in conspiracy theories? That's a very loaded question. Which theory are you talking about? Name a theory and I'll tell you what I think about it. Vanderbilt said exactly, cut and dry. Jailhouse lawyers in the comment section. Yeah, pretty much. Jay Rocker said, purpose of a lawyer is to raise reasonable doubt. Well, the job of a lawyer is to win cases. It depends on what type of law they're doing, because some lawyers are prosecutors. They don't want to raise reasonable doubt. They want to destroy it so they can get convictions. Dolphin said, or they aren't aware of the consequences. True. Mary said, I thought she was found innocent. Who? Who are you talking about? Jay Rocker said, did you, James, and Comey win because case got dismissed? Did I? Your grammar is off here, Jay Rocker. We will talk about that later on this week. There are plenty of things to be said about that. The case is not over. It got dismissed by this current judge, but it's not over. They can re-bring the charges. Kim K said, yeah, I already talked about the Trump Georgia case. We already knew was falling apart. We knew that was over back then. Erica B, thanks for the lightning bolt. D Brown said, I truly believe that all these actors are going to pay for the crimes they committed. What actors? Marley said they have visuals of the cargo. I don't know. You're asking the wrong person. Kim H, good morning. Nathan Don saying, that sounds like a fishing strong arm. LOL. Yeah, pretty much. Jay Rocker, good morning. All right, have a good day. New to TikTok said, were you there? Was I where? What are you talking about? Nathan said, have dancing was a personal threat. Use the sound machine. Please, I love it. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, tap dancing. The tap dancing comments are old. Erica B said, this is the things that people throw out. Black people tend to throw that one out when they hear a black person say something that they don't like, but then they can't quite answer what they're referring to. Mary said, you can't get court-martialed for not allowing an unlawful order. Therefore, it makes sense to say it. You can't get court-martialed. You're using too many negatives here, Mary. You're confusing me. I need you to reword this in more easy to understand grammar. So I have to decipher what you're saying here. New to TikTok said, they are never picking you. Who is they? I don't know who they is. And secondly, I do not position myself to get chosen by anybody. So I hope you're right. They are never picking me because I'm never making myself available to be picked. So I don't know who they is. And it doesn't matter. Lucky said, that what they were doing. What? All right, what's up with you all's grammar today? Your grammar is kind of out of many of you still in food comas for Thanksgiving. Ashley saying, yet they can't answer one illegal order that has been given. Yeah, exactly. Because if they were to say it, then they'd be committing to something. So that's why they didn't commit. Jackie, thanks for the share. Toga, New York said, the president is the commander in chief. He is the top of all chain of command. That is correct. And I said that during the live. Karina said, just a reminder, they didn't need to be reminded of a effing thing. Yes. Well, that's why they did it. They did it because they needed to create a news item around Donald Trump. This is the game that the politicians are in. Ashley said, Democrats is what she said. It's like the plant seeds, nothing factual. Jasmine Crockett is one of the worst. But this is the game that they're in. This is what they got to do. Anybody get into politics, you have to do this. Debbie Mixell said, I love you take your time for your kids. You're a good dad. Well, thank you. Naturally, Brittany said, I love how you are with your son. So sweet. Thank you. Irma V, good morning. Lucky said, Abbott was breaking into Capitol unlawful. Well, first of all, there's a bunch of people already in the Capitol. What she did, Ashley, it was Babbitt, not Abbott. Babbitt is her name. What she was doing was jumping through that window. So it was a bunch of people who had already broken the building. They already were trespassing by being in the building. Then she was trying to jump through a window for no reason. And a security guard who was standing on the other side of it was a door actually with a window. So it was a door with a little window at the top. She was trying to jump through the window for no reason. It was stupid of her. And then the security guard shot her. She didn't have a weapon. He shot her. I don't think he should have shot her, but she also shouldn't have tried to jump through that window. That was dumb of her. And that's why she got shot. So she wasn't breaking in the Capitol. She was already broken in the Capitol because there's a bunch of people who are broken in standing there. He only shot her. So it wasn't breaking in and got her shot. Dave both say he is growing fast. This is true. Tam Wells said, I like the fact that he pays attention to his kid unlike 90% of people on TikTok. Is that what happens? 90% of people on TikTok don't pay attention to their kids? I don't scroll on TikTok, but when I see people post videos from TikTok, it looks like people are doing dances with their kids. That's what I see people doing. Philly Viv, good morning. Zoko Man said, and the grift is on. What's the grift? Elena said he said to fight. So, yeah, so what? What kind of fighting? There's a lot of different ways to fight. You can fight with your words. You can fight with your fists. You can fight with your ballot box votes. You can fight with your money. There's a lot of different ways to fight. You can't just take fight to interpret, meaning go and break into a building and beat people up. If you are making that interpretation, you would have to prove it in a court of law, which would be damn near impossible, which is why Trump never got convicted for January 6th. New to TikTok said he did have a right to challenge that, and he did in 60 court cases, and he lost them all. That is correct. What's your point? Lucky said they had rallies before the event led by his son. I don't know who you're talking about. Biggs by 10 said, so why did he pardon them? That's pardon with a D, not a T. Why did he pardon them is because they got overcharged. And I agree with the pardon because they did overcharge everybody from January 6th. First of all, a bunch of them got held in incarceration without access to an attorney, which is against the law. You're not supposed to be held. If you get arrested, you have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, won't be appointed for you. A bunch of people from January 6th got held, incarcerated, did not get access to an attorney for months before they got access to an attorney. Then they got overcharged, and a lot of them got convicted, or they got overcharged so hard that they took plea deals and got ridiculous sentences. Donald Trump pardoned all of them because he knew they'd been overcharged, and they only got overcharged not because of what they did, but because they did it in support of Donald Trump, not because of what they actually did. If I was to go and trespass into the Capitol building right now today, they would not give me the type of charge that they gave those people from January 6th. They gave them that charge because they did it in support of Donald Trump, not because of their actual actions. Justice is supposed to be blind. That was not blind justice. So they deserve to be pardoned. And if the same thing happened again, they should get pardoned again. Stardust says, same reason people do no kings to protest. Yes, you have a right to protest. New TikTok said, this is embarrassing to listen to. You don't really believe that, because if you really thought that, you would have stopped listening like 15 minutes ago before you start commenting. Lucky said, Trump told them to fight, and they did. Yes, well, there's a lot of different ways to fight. And most of the people who were at the speech on January 6, 2021 did not do anything. They didn't fight. They didn't break in anything. They didn't get into any conflict, and they didn't get charged. So what you all are talking about are the 1,500 or so people who were charged. There were probably 100,000 people who came to D.C. that day. So let's be clear. You're talking about less than 2% of the people who were involved, who came to support Donald Trump. Naturally, Brittany said, BBC was just proved to have edited Trump's speech to make it sound different. Yeah, I saw that. And he might still sue them. He should sue them. But we'll see what they do. E8 said, I said Google because I don't think you would take my word for it. Well, E8, what is Google? It's everybody else's word. So what's the difference between your word and the word of anyone else? Google is you. It's the same thing. Same thing with AI. It's all information coming from people. It's just interpreted and presented in different ways. Day and Night Transport said, why did Donald Trump tell his protesters to hang his VP? I don't know. Ask Donald Trump. You asking me to interpret Donald Trump's words and you're telling me he said that? I don't know if that's exactly what he said. But if he did, you had to ask Donald Trump why he said that. I don't speak for that, man. But I can tell you what actually got said versus what he did. Let's see. We got a lot more comments here. I'm trying to catch up. All right, here we are. Where was I? Right here. Kath Meow said, does anyone know who unlocked her? Yeah, it was a black guy. He got a little bit of press, what do we call it? Victory lap after he did the shooting. He went on a couple TV shows, but it didn't go any further than that. It was a black guy, security, worked in the Capitol building. You can probably Google him and find his name. So there, Google that. GG, thanks for the follow. Susie said, BLM burned and looted so much property, so many people lost their businesses. Yes, so the thing is, people comparing BLM to January 6th. See, January 6th, they were beating up a government building. That's all that happens. A government building got damaged. Who really cares? BLM riots, black neighborhoods got burned down. It was a bunch of black people protesting and rioting in their own neighborhoods, breaking into buildings in their own neighborhoods and destroying their own property. So it's not even about a dollar amount difference. It's about what got destroyed, by who, and who did it belong to. January 6th is beating up the Capitol building, which doesn't affect any of us on a daily basis. But you burn down your own neighborhood. You live in a black neighborhood. You go outside, protest, and burn down your own neighborhood. That's stupid. E8 said, talk about Trump's false electors. That is the whole point of January 6th. Well, January 6th is not the topic here today, E8. So if you really want to talk about January 6th, then you should do your own live stream. Sold by Misty. Thanks for the heart. Good morning, Misty. Linda said, you don't know if it really was a free and fair election. Well, we'll never know. My official word on 2020 is that we will never know. Big Pops, thanks for the follow. Nana Cat said, lots of emotionally damaged lefties in the comments. That's all right. We like them being in the comments. It makes the conversation interesting. Big Pop said, can you use one warrant for two separate cases, even in the same household? Why are you asking me that question? What does that have to do with the topic? Mr. Wright said, my boss told me to do something illegal. I'm not doing it. Yeah, I understand. In a vacuum, it sounds pretty simple, right? DMZ said Milgram's theory, which is what? Linda said, what does the Constitution say? Well, there's something else that anybody can Google and read it. Zoko Man says, incitement a passive or active action? That's the way you spelled that is the wrong form of incitement. It's incitement, INCITE, that kind of insight, not insight like INSIGAC, which you said, which is like a way of thinking. Is it a passive or active action? Why are you asking me that? That's a good question for Chat GPT. Biggs by 10 says, so Trump is not doing anything wrong as president of the U.S. Biggs by 10, that's the best you can come up with?
Strawberry cheesecake.
Strawberry cheesecake is when someone uses a straw man. Straw man is the most common logical fallacy people use in disagreement, is when someone takes what you said, they rephrase it into something that you didn't say, then they argue against the thing that you didn't even say. One tell for the straw man is when someone uses the term so. They start their comment with so. So Trump is not doing anything wrong as president. Then they say something that is not what you said. They rephrase your point, and then they try to ask you a question about it, usually in the form of ridicule, a question, or a sarcastic statement. So Biggs by 10, congratulations on the most easy to point out straw man of the day. You get a second slice. You get 2 slices of cheesecake.
Strawberry cheesecake.
For that one. The one Uno says the door broken. No, the door's not broken. Just my son slams that door, and I don't like him slamming the door because I have things hung up on the wall. You slam it often enough, stuff might start falling off. E8 says, so legally, here we go. I just explained to y'all where the straw man comes from when someone starts their comment with the word so, right? And here, 2 comments later, E8 says, so legally, U.S. commanders, military prosecutors, DOJ, federal courts are the first line. Okay, that's not a straw man. But E8, why are you giving me all this stuff? What's your point? Ashley said, none of the 6 can name even one illegal order that has been given, not one. Well, the reason why they won't do it, because then they'd be committing to something, then they'll have to answer questions about exactly what was illegal about it. And since they couldn't answer it, that's why they didn't say it. They left it out on purpose. E8 said, Trump got the Supreme Court, so he got full immunity. That's why all January 6th was dropped. Okay, if that's what you believe, or you believe that that is the fact, or if it is, okay, fine. January 6th is not the topic here today. I talked about January 6th on January 6th. Literally, January 6th of this year, I did a live about January 6th. You can find it on my YouTube channel. Leah, thank you for the lightning bolt. Miss Watkins said, I also agree with that. Well, thank you. Echoes, I appreciate you. Pepper said, how about this? TikTok is two-faced. You see people every day on here, cousins and threatening each other. Oh, well, maybe it is. I mean, they get to do what they want. Nana says, been a while since you got suspended. Yes, it has. The last time I got suspended was when I was talking about the P. Diddy trial, and I made a certain comment about the women who testified against him that I can't say again because that's what got me suspended. As he said, why don't people realize that Trump has a team of people making sure things are done legally? Yeah, they're called the government. They're making sure things are done legally. As he says, he's bought like a halt by Democrats. If he did anything legal, will be caught. Of course. User 1366 said, are you a lawyer? I am not a lawyer, but it's been a while since somebody asked me that question. When I first started doing these lives, talking about this stuff about a year plus ago, I would get asked if I was a lawyer every single day. But I think many of you have heard me enough that you know I'm not a lawyer. But a user, you might be new around here. I'm guessing you are. I am not a lawyer. I just play one on TikTok. E8 said, have you listened to the Trump phone call to Georgia in full? The Trump phone call to Georgia, what does that have to do with the illegal orders topic that we're talking about here today? E8, you seem to have a lot to say about January 6th. I would suggest that you write a book and self-publish. Let's see. Caricature Creation said, Dems have nothing to offer America. Well, one thing they offer is that they keep the Republicans honest. honest, quote unquote. Frankenstein said politicians never answer directly and always give broad answers to how they avoid accountability. That is generally correct. I lost my spot again. All right, I think we might catch up here. Answer says some people are not even at the Capitol that day and got arrested. That's a fact. I didn't know about that, but I believe you. Leah, thanks for the lightning bolts. Stardust said Kamala has told people to fight, fight, fight. Yeah, everybody says that. Fighting is not a crime, by the way. Fighting itself is not a crime. Mari, thank you for the lightning bolt. EA said Google is a source of sources. Come on, man. What is your go-to source of sources? Critical thinking is my go-to source of sources. Google is a bunch of sources. Google is a source of sources, which is what? Material come from the internet. Material on the internet came from who? People. So every piece of information that you find on the internet, whether you get it from AI or Google or from a person, requires you to look at it, consider, does this make logical sense? Does it not make logical sense? And you have to use your critical thinking skills to decide if it does or it doesn't, which is why I have consistently asserted here, facts no longer matter. Because you can present all the facts in the world to a person, they can decide they don't want to listen to it. Is this true? So like you're saying right now, you're throwing out your facts, E8, and some of them I am saying, okay, that's cool. And some of them I'm dismissing. And there's nothing you can do to make me accept anything I'm dismissing, and nothing you can do to make me dismiss anything that I'm accepting. Why? Because in the world that we're in today, it's not about facts. It's about persuasion and influence. That's what matters the most. And persuasion and influence is about communication skills, not about facts. Because if it was just about facts, then again, a lot of things would be different. All you had to do is just go to the library. You have all the facts in the world. Floyd Palmer said, so, here we go. Floyd Palmer says, so, are you trying to say, that's another tell for the straw man, is when someone says, so you're saying, or so you're trying to say, or so you think, or so you believe.
Now I have one. Whoa,
Oh, wait, we can't put this on here because this can't get on my suit. So you have to sit still with that. You can use it, but you have to sit still and only on the table and be gentle with that. So Floyd Palmer said, you're trying to say there was no concerted effort to circumvent normal process of the election. But first of all, Floyd, I'm not trying to say anything. I don't need to try to say things. I say things directly. If you listen to me for 15 minutes, then you get a pretty good feel for my communication style. Secondly, I'm not trying to say it. Then you said there was no concerted effort to circumvent normal process of the election. Well, you're asking the wrong question. What Donald Trump argued was that the normal process of the election had already been circumvented, which is why he was telling people, make some noise and don't let them certify this because I don't think this went the right way in the first place. So it wasn't the normal process that Donald Trump was trying to stop on January 6th. It was him saying there was no normal process from the beginning, which is why we're having January 6th. January 6th, not the intrusion into the Capitol building, but the speech that he gave before they went to the Capitol building. So nice try there, Floyd Palmer. But you get a slice of strawberry cheesecake. Leftover Thanksgiving dinner strawberry cheesecake for you, Floyd Palmer. Bobette, thanks for the follow. User says, so nobody got hurt on January 6th. Are you making a statement or asking a question? Kathy Meow said, thank you for explaining everything so peacefully and spreading the education you have. You're welcome. CJ Gator said, nah, bro, it was a bunch of people who didn't live in those neighborhoods that did that. It wasn't all that, CJ Gator. Yes, I know there were some agitators who got brought into certain towns to stir up more nonsense during the BLM riots, but we can't sit here as black people and act like there wasn't black people doing violence in their own communities, to their own buildings and their own neighborhoods during the BLM riots. We can't say that was just all people not from the neighborhood doing that. That was people from the neighborhood beating up their own neighborhood behind, I don't know, I guess justice for George Floyd, if you want to call it that. Christy, thank you for the Go Popular. And CJ Gator, another thing is that just on the BLM thing, as a black person, is that we as black people cannot afford to not hold our own accountable, especially in our own neighborhoods. If something gets destroyed in a black neighborhood, then it's black people responsible for either defending it or you're responsible for having done it. So there's a bunch of people who ain't from our hood beating things up and breaking things down in our neighborhood during the BLM riots, then the black people in that neighborhood should have been stopping them. So if it went and happened, then who was allowing it to happen? Who sat there and watched it take place? Black people. So either way, I'm holding black people accountable. Linda said, just to be clear, I didn't vote for Trump. I didn't vote for this mess. But Linda, why are you making that point of clarity? Why do you need to tell people that? Christy, thank you for the lightning bolt. Karina said they thought you were a lawyer. When I first started doing these, everybody thought I was a lawyer. I don't mind people thinking I'm a lawyer. That must mean that well, first of all, I look the part. And secondly, I'm doing a good job of breaking down my points logically and objectively, at least as close as I can be. So I think that's why people assume that I'm a lawyer. So I take that as a compliment. Christy, thanks for the lightning bolt. CJ Gator said mass focus just came from other reasons to make those people look bad. CJ, some of them, yes, but the majority of them, I say no. I say, who allowed that to happen? Who allowed that to happen? If that's my neighborhood and you're breaking things down in my neighborhood, I'm going to grab you like, yo, don't keep breaking, don't break down the glass of that grocery store I shop there. I get my gas at that gas station. Don't set that on fire. What are you doing? I got to get gas tomorrow morning when this is over. Don't go setting stuff on fire in my neighborhood. I'm not going to sit there and let that take place. Marley said, Katie said, so much cheesecake today. Yes, we gave out a lot of cheesecake. Son, do you like cheesecake?
No.
What is that? Sugar? Marley said, thank you for explaining the meaning of things and giving an example to put in context. You're welcome. A few more comments here. We almost caught up to the comments. Christy, thank you for the ginger man. Ginger man. I like gingerbread man. The gingerbread man.
No, I like cookies better.
I like cookies better too. I like oatmeal raisin cookies. You like oatmeal raisin?
No, I like real cookies.
Oatmeal raisin is a real cookie.
No, I like pretend cookies.
What cookies? Pretend cookies?
Yeah.
You know what we used to do?
What?
Before you were born, Mommy and Daddy used to make oatmeal raisin cookies at home. We used to make homemade oatmeal raisin cookies. You ask Mommy about that. Maybe we'll do it again. We don't have time though because we have you to chase around. You know that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Murphy the Mutt said, must be a kid thing to slam doors. Yeah, pretty much.
Do this.
Yeah, they do slam the door. I tell him to close the door every time. He slammed it so hard once that he made something fall off the wall. Vintage Toy Gallery.
Now that looks like a computer.
Vintage Toy Gallery said, so, I see what you're doing here. Says, so you're saying you wouldn't want some strawberry cheesecake. All right, so I think you're asking for some strawberry cheesecake.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Well done, Vintage Toy Gallery. Kath Meow, thanks for the follow. Keep on living for life, said Trump apologist. Okay.
Oh, I like your funny words, Magic Man.
What am I apologizing for? Rick Thomas said, listen, people, and you will learn. Thanks, Ray, for your time. You're welcome. A few more comments, folks. E8 said, how do you use your critical thinking to gather facts? You don't use critical thinking once you have facts, not all the facts, but facts, period. And then you make a decision based on your critical thinking skills, looking at the information you have access to, your own life experience, the context clues behind the information that you gathered, where you got them from, who shared it, why they shared it, or your interpretation of why they shared it, and then you come to a conclusion. Ultimately, it comes down to how you decide to think, what you accept as a fact and what you don't accept as a fact, or how you decide to interpret the facts which you have received. That's really what it comes down to. I did a 2-part series on critical thinking on my podcast, episode 1826 and 1827. If you would like to be enlightened on what I really think about critical thinking, because I have gone into detail explaining the concept. EA said, what is your source of facts? Depends on the topic. Depends on the topic where I get facts from. Frontline Strong Texas, thanks for the follow. Yannette said, I can't believe how many people are against basic law and order. Yannette, nobody's against basic law and order except active criminals. And most of the people in here are not active criminals. People are not against basic law and order. What they're against is Donald Trump, and anything that Donald Trump stands for, they find a way to go against it. So it's a form of TDS, which all of us know as Trump derangement syndrome. People don't have a problem with law and order. What they have a problem with is Donald Trump. It's an emotional problem.
Emotional, damn it.
So anything Donald Trump stands for, they find a way to go against it, even if it makes them look ridiculous. That's what's actually happening. Yannette. CJ Gator said Detroit was peaceful. Okay, I'll take your word for it. Barbie 007, good morning. Zeta said too cute. Katie says little laugh is the best. Yes, when you take it in small doses, any kid is cute. Sold by Missy said chocolate chip all the way, LOL. Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of chocolate. I'm more of an oatmeal raisin guy. Clark said the caption is illegal orders, so it sounds lawyer. Okay, well, I think it's more than that, because I was getting that lawyer question no matter what I was talking about over the last 15 months. Dolphin said the oatmeal chocolate chip. Okay, I had to try that. I don't think I've had oatmeal chocolate chip, but I would give that a try. You got me interested. Barbie said, I miss my daughter being your son's age. And every time I see parents who have kids older than my kid, they always make a comment similar to that one. Well, Heck said, oatmeal with butterscotch chips. It sounds like a lot of sugar. If I had too much sugar, then it starts to trigger histamine reactions in me. So y'all notice that months ago, if y'all been watching for a while, I used to, when I was doing these lives, I used to have to keep blowing my nose. I haven't had that issue for like a month because I've cut back on the junk food. I like junk food. Once I stopped eating so much junk food, I stopped having that problem. So I got to be careful with taking in too much sugar, especially poorly processed sugar. Cheap sugar triggers that reaction in my sinuses. Brandy, thanks for the follow. Karina said, if Kamala was enforcing the law, they would call her protective queen and be given awards. Yeah, she definitely would have got the Nobel Prize. That's a guarantee. Just for being a person of color and a female, she would have got the Nobel Prize. Same reason Obama got it. He got it because he was black. He didn't get it because he did anything. He got it because he was black. And Donald Trump won't get it because he's an old white guy. John Rennell said, outsourcing was the first of the initiatives for the globalists and or the New World Order, Clintons. I'll take your word for it. Dolphin said the cake box cookies are fire to any flavor. What's cake box cookies? Clark said, gotcha. You just look like you know a thing or two. Well, thank you. I do know a thing or two, so I'm glad I look like that. Marky Man said, have you tried oatmeal with sliced banana? You mean oatmeal like in a bowl, or you mean an oatmeal cookie with sliced banana? I like bananas. I got a whole table full of a whole plate full of bananas right here on my desk. I keep bananas in this room with me. And I like sliced bananas, but bananas and oatmeal, I probably had that combination at some point, but I don't eat cereal. So I don't know if I'll have a reason to try that. Miss Genesis 303, good morning. We're going a couple more minutes here, folks, and we'll wrap up. CJ Gator, so you find an issue with all presidents somehow, some way. It really starts at the local area. You're right about that. CJ Gator, you're right about that. If you want to make a change politically, it starts with your local elections, not the president. Marky Man said the bowl. Well, see, when I used to eat cereal, I've tried pretty much everything. I used to like cream of wheat was my favorite. Cream of wheat was one of my favorite cereals. And then I used to eat the Quaker Oats instant oatmeal. Maple and brown sugar was my favorite because there's a bunch of sugar in there. It was just a pack of sugar pretty much. And then cold cereals, my favorites of all time is Frosted Flakes, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Raisin Bran, and Honey Nut Cheerios. But I don't eat cereal anymore. It's been a long time. And all that shit is just candy. Frosted Flakes is just candy. So if you like to eat candy for breakfast, eat Frosted Flakes. That's all it is. Raisin Bran, all the little raisins, they all got sugar on them. Honey Nut Cheerios is nothing but sugar, and Cinnamon Toast Crunch is nothing but sugar. So I like sugar. I have a sugar addiction, but I've cut back on the sugar a lot. So I stopped having the histamine reactions. Sugar Smacks. Yeah, no, they changed it to what they call it. I think they changed the Honey Smacks. My dad said when I was a kid, they used to call it Sugar Smacks, but they had to stop calling it Sugar Smacks because it got backlash that it was just telling kids to eat sugar. So they had to change the name to, I think they just called it Smacks or they called it Honey Smacks, but it was the same thing. They just changed the name. They just rebranded it and they still give you the same junk. So a lot of boxed cereal, cold cereal, all of it is just sugar, folks. It's just packaged up sugar. Darlene Andrew, thank you for the heart. Dolphin said, any cake mix in egg and butter, bake 6-7 minutes, best cookie ever. I'll take your word for that. I'm not much of a cooker. Marky said, your son will love it. Well, he already eats candy. Whenever I eat candy, I give him some, but he needs to not eat candy. So I got to stop eating candy. That's a good enough excuse for me. Marty said, I love cream of wheat with butter and a little bit of sugar. LOL. Yes, that's what I like. So I used to make the cream of wheat with, you put some butter in it. That's correct. Then a little bit of sugar and even raisins. I'll put raisins in the cream of wheat. So I like cream of wheat. Cream of wheat was basically candy. You put enough sugar in it, you're basically eating candy. CJ Gator said, you can eat those dry. LMAO. Yes, you can. Maddie said, I love cream of wheat. Is that bad for me? Should I give it up? I don't know if the cream of wheat itself is bad for you, but it depends on what you put in it. Now, you start putting butter and sugar in it, then you're starting to turn it into candy. Americans, we get addicted to sugar because they put sugar in everything, and then we don't even know that there's sugar in it, and then we want more of it, and we're just eating more and more sugar. We kill ourselves with sugar, what we eat. Save said, parasites love sugar. Yeah, see right there, what Save just said. It triggers all this inflammation, histamine reactions, which is inflammation, all the stuff that we get that beats our bodies up is because of inflammation. Inflammation comes from the junk that we eat. In America, we eat a ton of junk, and we don't even know that we're eating junk a lot of times. Pepper said, I love grits. Yeah. Dolphin said, baked apple chips are a great healthy alternative for a sweet snack. This is true. But that's why I eat fruit. I usually just eat fruit. All right, so I see there's a lot of conversation happening between all of you, but we like this. This is great. Katie said, my downfall is dairy and it's eggnog season. Y'all don't eat a lot of dairy. So everybody, listen, we do these lives Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern. If you like this one, come back tomorrow. If you didn't like it, come back tomorrow. If you agree with the things that I said, come back. If you disagree with the things that I said, come back. If you agree with the commentators, come back. If you disagree with a commentator, come back. Because we'll be back here tomorrow and y'all can disagree on a different topic. And disagreement is healthy, everybody. It's the last thing I'll say to everybody who's in here, whether you agree with me or disagree with me today. Disagreement is healthy. We want disagreement. We want pushback. We enjoy when people push back and disagree with the things that we say. As long as we can keep it above board, we don't have to get personal and attack each other. As long as we can just disagree on the points and we can argue the points, that's healthy. Why? Because when you face people who disagree with you, you have to justify your point. You have to strengthen your argument, and you might find out that they actually may have a good point. So all three things are useful anytime somebody disagrees with you. So we like the disagreements, and moderators in here know we let the dissenters live. We let them talk. We let them comment. Y'all engage with them. And if your disagreement is accurate and you have a good point, then I'll give you credit for a good point. If your point is some bullshit, then I'll call you out for your bullshit, and I'll give you the
Strawberry cheesecake.
and I'll give you a slice of strawberry cheesecake if you say something that doesn't make any sense. But we appreciate dissenters, folks. This is the marketplace of ideas. Everyone understand this. This is the marketplace of ideas over here. We do not block or ban or mute anybody for disagreeing with me. Moderators, remember that. We let them talk because in the marketplace of ideas, you got to put your ideas out there. And if your idea is good, your idea can stand up to scrutiny and challenge and attack. And if your idea is trash, then it can't stand up to it. So if you start muting and blocking people because they disagree with you, then your idea might not be that good. And I want you all to remember that. I am a former professional athlete. In the professional sports world, you can't block the other teams who think they're better than you. You got to play against them and you got to beat them. That's the way it works. In the sports world, you think you're the best player, you got to go against all the other teams or all the other players who think they're good, and you got to beat them in a free and fair competition. So I treat the marketplace of ideas the exact same way. Okay, so we are open to dissent. We are open to disagreement. You can come in here and disagree all you want, and we're gonna look at your commentary and see what you say, and we're gonna see if it makes sense, if it doesn't make sense. And if you say something that makes sense, I'll give you credit. And if you say something stupid, I'll give you credit for that too. All right, that's the way it works. So I appreciate all of you moderators. I appreciate the viewers. I appreciate everybody engaged here. I will tell you, if you want to get one of my books, get this one right here, The Third Day. The Decision That Separates the Pros from Amateurs. The book's free. Just cover the shipping. The book is free, TikTok, so don't be giving me a warning about this. I'm giving away the book free. Just cover the shipping. Go to thirddaybook.com. Third Day and the word book. This book is all about how you show up and give your best effort when you least feel like it. Now, those of you looking to go to a higher level than just the book, you can get into my Power Presence Mastermind. I'm not telling you about the book. I'm just showing you this because this is the manual that you get when you join the mastermind. I will mail this to your house. I'm not even charging you for this. This is free. I will give it to you free. Again, TikTok, I'll give it to you free if you're a member of my mastermind. Power Presence is all about mastering the 85% of communication that is nonverbal. If you want to make more money in your career, you want to generate more money in your business, you want to raise your prices, you want to get people who generally ignore you to notice you, you want to leave a stronger imprint on people even after you leave the room. And if you want people to notice you even before you open your mouth, the Power Presence is what helps you do that. This is the nonverbal part of communication that multiplies the verbal part. So I'm not telling you to stop talking. I'm telling you to take your speaking ability and you want to multiply it by 10, you got to master the other 85% of communication. That is the Power Presence. This is what makes your knowledge and your information and your skills matter when you master the Power Presence. Go to the link in my profile or just text the word POWER, 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 to my text number. My number is 305-384-6894. 305-384-6894. That is my text message number. I send out a daily motivation text every day. Monday motivation text every week. The Monday motivation just came out like 10 minutes ago. So if you didn't text me yet, you missed it. But daily motivation every day, Monday motivation every week. 305-384-6894. Text the number 3. I'll send you a link to get this book. Text the word POWER. I'll send you more information about the Power Presence Protocol, our mastermind. Everybody have a great Monday. I will see you all tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern is the time we do these lives. 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern. DK Man, good morning over there from St. Louis. CJM CLMJ0 said from West Virginia, love your attitude and blunt reality about the situation. Appreciate you over there on YouTube, those of y'all watching. And appreciate everybody on all the other platforms. Most of my comments are on TikTok. That's what I'm looking at. But I appreciate y'all on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Rumble X, YouTube. Everybody have a great Monday. I will see you all tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Everybody have a great Monday. We out of here.